Welcome to Hold Up, a movie podcast. I am your host, Skell E. And with me, as always, is my co-host, Chris Worldmine Murphy. How's it going, Murphy?
I'm programmed to say it is a positive experience for the viewing of these robotic films and
Positively positronic.
yes,
Yeah.
It was, it's going to be an interesting discussion. I had a bit of a rest period for the first one, and then the second one made me feel great nostalgia, and the third one, I can't wait to talk about the third one. So
Yeah, well,
that's that.
all right. We are talking about movies tonight. I didn't have much of an intro planned because I was pretty frazzled from parenting up until a second ago. But we have a guest with us tonight. A wonderful guest.
Well, thanks.
No problem. KH Kyle Hill is back.
Hey, that's me.
How's it going?
It's going well. Thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, wow. Season 2, episode 13. Who else could we have?
I don't know. Shit. I mean, it makes sense, right?
Actually, before we get started, though, I have a serious question for both of you guys. All right. You're in the desert. It's hot. Like scorching hot. Dehydratingly hot. You're walking down a road, and you see a tortoise lying on its back. What do you do?
Flip it over.
I mean, I would check to see if it was alive or dead.
And then what?
I don't know. Depends on how thirsty I am, I guess.
I think KH might be a robot. I don't think you're a robot, Murphy.
I might.
No, I'm a vegan.
I might.
You are a robot.
I might pitch a little tarp over it so that as it boils in the sun and its moisture comes out, I can collect it and make a little water reservoir for myself from drying turtle.
Definitely a robot. Okay, now we have a new origin stories. KH, how long have you been a robot?
I mean, since I can remember, I guess.
Since
The day I was turned on.
Yeah, like I don't really remember a pre-robot life. I mean, I don't think that's really how it works. I think usually, sometimes you just kind of like you come into being and you're like, oh, okay, cool. Like I'm a thing and I have awareness. Like that's cool, and you don't really think about it. But all my memories are intact, right? Like I have a pretty good memory system. So, even though I didn't like
how many terabytes?
There's a question of were you aware that you were a robot?
Yeah.
And how long do you remember being a robot? Because I wasn't aware I was a robot, but I remember being a robot because I was always a robot. Because I remember everything. Because I'm a robot.
Yep.
So
the Blade Runner test never fails.
I forgot the question I was going to ask you, actually. So
I derailed this.
And I rocket into space.
Well, I suppose we could talk about our first movie over in Theater 1.
That's why we're here, right?
Well, or do we have any opening thoughts? Anyone have any opening thoughts on robot movies before we move on to Theater 1? Or should we
just robot movies in general?
I guess. Or the overall feel when you were left with after watching all of these?
It felt like two of them. One of them wasn't really a robot movie, and two of them were movies with robots that weren't about robots.
Yeah, kind of.
They were about relationships.
yeah,
like
a little bit.
And you could have made a lot of different scenarios to kind of tell that same story. Like, he's too old for you, or we don't love that person's culture.
Yeah.
But instead, it's just like we want to make a movie about racism, but not be so overt about it. So we'll put in a robot.
So Star Trek.
Wow, that just completely colored Bicentennial Man in a light I didn't consider before.
You watched the wrong movie, Murphy.
I was just mostly caught by the whimsy of Robin Williams. I mean, he's swept up.
Did he bring any whimsy to that movie?
I
We'll
mean,
talk about it when we get there.
That was
All right.
my notes. I think were my first comment when I finished that movie was that was the least Robin Williams performance.
Yeah.
and you know that's including that's including I got Insomnia. You know, that was more Robin Williams than this was Robin Williams.
Yeah. All right, let's get into Theater 1 because I want to get to
All
Theater
right, let's
2.
go in there.
All right, so Theater 1, we're talking about Silent Running from 1972, starring Bruce Dern, Cliff Potts, Ron Rifkin, Jesse Finch, Huey, Dewey, and Louey, and directed by Douglas Trumbull. So,
Which I thought was kind of a funny, which is probably the funniest thing to me, is that the forest didn't survive Earth. There is no green lands. There is no vegetation. But Disney did. Huey, Dewey, and Louie?
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like their
Well,
names managed to like echo through the analogs of time to the point where Earth has been destroyed.
Well, you know, they probably have like VHS player on their spaceship, and all they watch is old Disney cartoons, I imagine.
Just Betamax.
We watched 3 robot movies, and 2 of them had a
their
robot named
spaceship-
Dewey.
I will. There was a popular beverage brand featured in Silent Running as well. I can't remember which one it was. It was like their
Oh, there were
Yeah, it was a
advertisements abound in these
Their
movies.
spaceship was built by Coca-Cola.
I have a guess on
yeah.
who sponsored the 3rd movie we watched.
You know what? I almost pulled that. I almost pulled that one out for movie morsels about what, how many like
Product placements.
like had products were in there, but I didn't want to give them the names.
Yeah, that's
Don't give them free
free
air
advertising.
here.
That's why I
so.
didn't want to even say which one it was, because there was a beverage featured prominently in one scene at least.
Yeah, it was red.
There could be a brand of tires featured in the 3rd movie that maybe had something to do with it. But,
and Goodyear and Adidas, yeah, and Finch,
Yep.
highly featured, yeah.
highly featured.
I think he was wearing Nikes, but whatever.
He had Adidas shorts on.
Oh yeah. So he's cross brands wearing. Anyway,
Yeah.
Silent Running, or as I
Hey, we're
like
talking
to
about
call
Silent
it,
Running.
So I picked Silent Running.
Snoring.
I picked no, come on now.
You know what? Here's what I will say. You say silent
Yeah.
boring. Here's what I will say. And Dad and I had like a text exchange where I said this.
Yeah.
I don't know if I think I said this to you. But
Yeah,
I
you
definitely
did.
said it to my wife. For like of these 3 movies, it was in a
What's the
strange
difference?
way
Me,
the
your-
most compelling because I really had no idea like how it was going to go down. Because
Well, they make sure of that. They don't.
Like-
they were trying to take that one off the
like
rails.
there was just a point when he's like raging, like you know, in that opening act where he's getting all mad at them. I'm like, this is so way over the top. I'm like, what happens?
I
in this
think that's
movie?
my favorite scene. That's the screenshot I think you sent me to. You took
Yeah,
a
it
screenshot
was.
and you're like,
Yeah.
this movie, man.
Him,
I'm like,
Bruce Dern,
yeah.
just looking out of his mind because they're
Yeah.
like, nobody likes cantaloupe. He's like, I'll fucking murder you.
Yeah. Look at the shit you're eating. And your
that's
shit just
like
like the shit you're eating. He's just like going right off. And that was my favorite scene, I think, as I picked.
But like, yeah, it was at that
Yeah.
moment where like I think, something happened. I had to like pause it for a moment. I was just like, I like really like have no idea where this is going. Like,
it gets pretty dark.
And in that way, I was like, I feel like I want to keep watching this because I really don't know. You know, I was like, where do the robots come in? And then B,
Hey,
like,
Alabuza
what happens in
Rex.
this movie? Yeah.
Yeah, that movie's crazy. I picked it. See, I seen it a long time ago when I was, I'm still an environmentalist, but when I was a young, long-haired hippie environmentalist. So this is kind of very much.
That was like your indoctrination film to
no, that was Medicine Man.
Okay.
Which we've also covered on this show.
This was his crossover.
This is my Medicine Man in space.
Yeah, this is Medicine Man in Star Trek.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have you know, I actually sent a message to the Canadian Space Agency when I was like 10, telling them that's the job I wanted. I was just like, so I want to run your like plants in space. I know you're going to plant them eventually.
But then
They never got back to me.
But then someone was like, "Hey, we have this kid who like wants to, grow our trees in space because he watched Silent Running." And then, spoiler alert, they're like, "Does that mean he's gonna kill a bunch of people too?"
Oh, that's why they didn't get back to me. Yeah, see, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, it could be, right? They thought you were all in on the Silent Running motif. Did. Yeah.
Like, he wants to bury us with robots. I know it, this kid. But yeah, 3 movies we watched. 2 of them have a robot named Dewey. This one has Huey, Dewey, and Louey, and they're lovely little robots. I like them. They get the job done.
I mean,
kind of boxy, but they made robots boxy back then. They're boxy in Finch too, or at least there's one. He has one.
So, like, how much did you look into this? Do you know how they did those robots?
I did not look into it. Murphy probably did for the morsels, but go ahead, KH.
Well, I mean, if I can share now, if it's part of your morsels,
I steal morsels from them all the time.
So they were all amputees.
That's what was happening.
So they did not. It was like 4. There were 4 of them who I guess shared the load, and they got in those little suits, walked around on their hands. None of them had legs.
What? Wow.
And there's a couple moments when they're sort of walking around and like set themselves down. And I was like, this is odd. But it felt very human the way they were moving. So I looked it up and was like, yeah, okay. It was like people who were like gymnast amputees. And they just walked around, and it probably was hot as hell in those things.
Probably.
And they just walked around in them. Yeah.
Wow. I wouldn't have guessed. Huh. Well, there you go. The magic of this movie.
That's the magic of this movie. The other magic is that I'm pretty sure, even though it only happened, one of my earlier notes in this is that Bruce Dern was doing his own stunts, because he almost gets wrecked by that friggin' go-kart in like the opening scene.
They're going very fast.
And it's him who jumps out of the way. Like, it's one... Like, that's not very craftily edited. It's just him jumping out of the way.
No. There was a lot of interesting sort of low quality effort action scenes that were pulled off in this film.
The ridiculous hand injury from slightly falling over in the Christmas tree lot, basically.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but you ever seen the trailer for this film?
No, I don't know if... I don't think I did watch... I'm trying to think if I did watch the trailer for it. I don't think so, but you're going to put it on, so let's go.
The time, the next century. Place
afar reaches
outer space. Silent Running.
A space convoy on a strange voyage.
So they just animate this entire trailer?
The forests, the plants,
it's all miniature.
Oh, there we go.
To extinction on Earth.
We have just received orders to abandon and nuclear destruct all the forests and return our ships to commercial service. We're going home!
You can't blow up this forest.
Now move!
Get away from my plants! I can really relate to Bruce Dern in this movie, though. That hasn't changed. Other than, like, the end.
Cataclysm in outer space. Every moment bringing its own danger as man explores the mysteries of an unknown and limitless universe.
Valley Forge, what the hell's wrong? You're moving out, you're accelerating.
I've got a premature detonation on dome number 2, and I've got an explosion in the main cargo deck. Now, please advise me immediately.
Give me Barker.
I can't find Barker. I can't find Wolf.
Now I can see it, now that you've explained the robots.
Yeah, I found like there's a couple images where they have like the front panel off, you can see the person inside.
Oh, wow.
Meet the almost human drones, amazing companions on a journey beyond the stars.
The almost human drones.
The almost human drone.
That takes on a bit of a sinister meaning there. Oh yeah, that card playing scene. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, and this song. Oh my god.
This song.
Yeah, the Joan Baez. Joan Baez doesn't fit space.
I have caps lock in my there too.
The
Like,
worst
what is this
soundtrack
song?
ever.
I haven't heard the Fields of Children song was very jarring when that kicked in.
So jarring.
Yeah, the Joan Baez didn't
I know
fit.
how like sometimes we give movies crap modern times for basically showing you the entire plot of the trailer. I feel like that's what's happening right now.
It's every trailer. All the ones Murphy finds anyway. I feel like he's doing it on purpose. He's finding.
I shit you not. No, these are the original trailers. I always look for the original theatrical trailers for every film.
Yeah, I think that's
look for
original
the very
song.
first one.
the original song sung by
we
Joan
had a
Baez.
couple in there, man.
Yeah.
We had a few.
Imagine playing this soundtrack. You're like, man, I really gotta get that silent running.
I really got to listen to the Fields
Rated
of
GP.
Children.
Before there was G, there was GP because they didn't want to rate it PG, so they rated it GP, and then it got downgraded eventually to rated G because the GP thing became no longer, and then that forced other films to go rated PG. Fun fact, right?
So, plot of this movie, they have some biodomes in space because the Earth sucks. But then they decide, what are these trees all worth really anyway? And well, Bruce Dern, he's taking care of them. He's the plant guy. And the rest of them are all just like engineers and shit up there.
Can we just... He and 3 other guys run that giant-ass ship with those big-ass biodomes, and those biodomes are supposed to be big enough to, house, forestry. So, let's just say they're, a mile wide. Like a mile in diameter sort of deal. Right?
Okay.
And then there's, supposed to be, 8 or 10 of them? And then they... that's almost like a 20-mile in diameter, and there are 4 guys running that whole ship with 3 robots.
Yeah, but they're very efficient robots, and the 3 guys don't really do anything. They just
they just dick around on their go-karts.
They dick around so much. I have never hated a supporting cast more than I have in this film. It was really the most exhausting 3 pricks I've ever watched.
They
on
were.
screen.
I mean, what they were going for, I guess they succeeded, right? It's one of these things where it's like maybe you hate the characters, but you're also like, but is that brilliance in how they set this film up? And it's like, yeah, Americans assholes. These guys are the jocks of space. Hate them.
I guess so. I don't know. It was just
I hated them.
The moments Bruce Dern just casually planting in it was one of the most obvious stages ever.
Oh yeah, that was not a healthy ecosystem.
No, it was very I think that it was detracting from it. I think they had original plans, but whatever. It's just it was an odd. It just I kept wanting. It's all I could think about was Pauly Shore and Biodome. But it was the staged version of it, and then it starts becoming this weird psychological. Oh, he's gonna kill people, and I'm expecting that to kind of get intense, but it ends up sort of sloppy. But the one scene I did enjoy out of the film, which was my scene that I considered holding up, was fucking when he starts
It's more likely that
playing poker with the guys at the beginning.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
oh, we're
There's no
cutting
way
back.
to announce cutbacks. Not after this amount of time.
Hey, Lowell, you're dreaming.
And you don't think it's time somebody had a dream again, huh? You don't think that it's time that somebody cared enough to have a dream What about the forests? You don't think anyone should care about these forests? What's going to happen if these forests and all this incredible beauty is lost for all time?
It's been too long. People got other things to do now.
And like that's sort of the like antithesis of this whole film is like everybody just gave up on the forest and the entire like global temperature is 75 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's like, does it absolutely suck there? How much would that suck? Just 75 degrees Fahrenheit everywhere you go. There's absolutely no climate. How is anybody living on this planet? And they're just like, we don't need forests. We put some in some bubbles. We got them out of here. We'll just go fly off into space. And then after like 10 years, they're like, these things are almost a Saturn. Let's just nuke them instead of bringing them back or something.
Or instead
like,
of just like decoupling them and letting them, like, they're decoupling them and exploding them very specifically for some reason. Like,
yeah, we gotta nuclear bomb them with the saddest nuclear bomb effect ever. It's literally just like a light that just like is over, like unfocused, and it just gets bright, and then that's it, and it just like casually just crashes. Away.
Practical effects from 1973, right? Let's just make a bright light.
Yeah, it's a bright light. It's a nuclear bomb in space, and it's just okay. I didn't quite understand the motivations for the majority of this film. When I personally watched it, the point after he's killed everybody for the most part, and he's trying to teach the robots how to play poker, that's when I fell asleep watching this film. And the moment I woke up was when they're like, "Lol, are you there? Lol, are you there?" And I'm like, "Huh?" And I see Bruce Dern just like sweaty and mad, and he's like, "Who is it?" And they're like, "Lol, it's us. We found you." And he's like, "How'd you find me?" Like, watching him go through that like crazy riff, like legitimately, how did they find him? And I proceeded to wake up and watch the end of the movie and just kind of like, so what's he gonna do now? Oh, he's just gonna blow himself up. Oh, okay. So
yeah.
Why wouldn't you just decouple it and then like catch up? It's not like there's any evidence of any bodies or anything. Like, I don't understand.
If they buy his whole "it was an accident" thing, then he's good.
And the best part is during that third act when he's walking around and all the plants are dying and he can't figure out why all the plants are dying, but then he remembers, oh, I need sunlight. So he starts turning the sun lamps on, and it's like, my guy.
I made a note at one point that literally just said, like, I just wrote "sunlight?" ? And then later on, that's literally just, he's like, "Yeah, I need sunlight."
It's like, oh, duh, I need sunlight. It's like, man, I don't know if
you
you're the
gotta
worst
unmute
botanist
yourself,
ever.
sir. Double unmute.
Oh no.
No,
You're muted on.
How about now?
Oh, there he is.
All right. Now my mic's broken. Remember when I broke it on vacation, Murphy? It's still broken.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Did you?
So sorry about that, fellas. Parenting nightmares.
No, hey man, it's okay. I get it.
Yeah.
Did you pick up on what his first name was?
Whose first name?
Lowell's.
Yeah, it's Lowell, right?
No, that's his last name.
Yeah, Lowell's his first name.
Oh.
What was his first name?
Jeff.
His first name was Freeman.
Freeman Knowles, right? It was
Freeman Knowles.
There at one point.
So I don't know. I guess again that little thing where it's like his name is Freeman because he's free to make his own decisions about who to murder and to kill himself.
There's a lot of similar themes throughout all three of these films.
Did you play my scene and his scene already? Did I miss all that?
No. Actually,
Okay.
we were just getting to your favorite scene.
Yeah, this is the best.
Maybe you know something we don't.
That's when KH had to text me. I'm pretty sure. 'Cause, like, this is wild.
Hey, don't ask Laura for a slice. I'd be delighted to give you a slice of that candy.
Sit down and shut up. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. And shut up and leave me alone, all of you, now, and let me eat.
Eat my fucking cantaloupe.
What's a big deal? I can't see the difference between that and this anyway.
You don't see the difference?
You don't see the difference?
That I grew it.
The way
That's
this
what the
scene is
difference
set up, and
And
like
I
this is
picked it
true
and
of
I
like a lot of
fixed it.
movies of that era, like
And it has a taste. And
it
it has
feels
some
like you're
color.
watching it in a
It has a
theater,
smell.
like a stage
And then it
theater,
calls
not
back
like
a
a
time
movie
when there were
theater.
flowers all
Like,
over the
Yeah.
earth.
like you're sitting
And
in
there
an
were
audience and
valleys.
you're watching them
And there
act
were
out this
plains of
scene.
tall green
Yeah,
grass that you could lie down
there's
in.
a strong
that you could
period
go
of
to sleep
filmmaking
in.
that's like that,
There
and
were
it's
blue skies.
sometimes
and
a
there was
bit
fresh air.
exhausting.
And there were things growing all over the place.
Well, in this
not
movie
just
too,
some
like so another part,
enclosures blasted
like
some
we're
millions
watching
of
this
miles out
scene,
into
like
space.
while watching this scene too, because it's shortly after this that I think that Fields of Children comes in. Is like the movie's so quiet. Otherwise, like there's like no musical score at all, like at all, and then it just busts out the Fields of Children. Do you just have like a clip of that you have prepared?
I don't actually.
But I picked that clip. I picked that clip because I can relate to that as well.
Yeah, well,
see somebody with
so you
like
can
a
relate to
carrot
people-
stick, and I'm like, "You think that's a carrot? Look at this carrot! I grew it. It's
You can relate
purple.
to people
It's
wanting
color."
Your cantaloupe. You grow purple carrots, eh?
Yeah,
I made purple carrot soup one time. Side story, it was good.
bet it was. Purple carrots are delicious.
It's funny, when I'm watching this film, I was like, this guy just, all I could see Davin doing this whole film. I could see you, and I was just like,
I could be that guy. I wanted to be that guy, and they didn't send me a message back. They thought I was gonna fly off into a Jupiter or some shit.
But yeah, so basically, Lowell kills these guys by beating choking him to death with a shovel after like a really weird fight where he gets his leg cut and he just like tourniquets his leg,
Yeah,
and then proceeds to like
go about his day.
couple, blow up his friends, and like
Kind of.
steal a ship. And like the whole time, I'm like, why isn't this guy trying to get like some sort of medical attention? Because he obviously showed how to do that in an earlier scene, helping the dude with his hand. It was like so perplexing as to why it seemed like it took him so long to just like wrap his leg up or something. He just like let it bleed with the tourniquet. It's like, you're gonna bleed out, my guy. But he manages to steal a ship through a very like, let me just use
Well, doesn't he put a medical like program into one of the robots?
Yeah. He swaps out the floppy disk to medical.
Was it a
mode or
cassette
whatever.
tape or was it a floppy disk? I feel like it was a
He
cassette.
has
Well-
enough time to code the ship to steal the ship, and then code these like medical programs into the drones, and then switch it into them, and hope that their pneumatic arm, a la R2D2, is good enough to suture them. It's like,
Because doesn't he put like the circuit board in like this like magnifying glass thing and like and like burns it to like modify it?
Yeah, it's like, oh, I gotta like add this like suit thing, and it's just like, what? This is
He's like
easier ways for this.
soldering.
Look, we plant guys
soldering.
can do some crazy things with technology.
Yeah, man, he can do everything.
Sir.
Remember that time I fixed a whole like software program?
Did you know?
Well, they gave us a free year's membership because of it.
You didn't fix that. That doesn't count. Complaining doesn't count. That's not how this works.
That's how it worked for us. So, yeah, that's my favorite scene. It's pretty great. I'm like that with vegetables. Store vegetables suck. They don't taste like anything. You gotta grow your own vegetables, people. Grow.
I concur with that. But yeah, we get around to the end of this film where after Brewster, did anybody really catch quite what he was like flying through? Was he flying through the rings of Saturn, or was he just?
He was coming onto some rings there.
Yeah.
So was the rings of Saturn that his ship went through?
I don't know if
Was
he
it
went
Saturn?
through it,
was
but it's
blue,
like he was near them. Yeah, no, it was rings because there's like Saturn shows up on like one of the displays at some point. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, like it shows
Okay.
that they're far enough that they're near Saturn, which means they've been out there for a long time, obviously. But
yeah,
when they were talking about his ship escaping, they're like, "You're going too far. You're going past the rings or whatever," and it seemed like they were implying that he flies his ship through the rings of Saturn, which is just asteroids and not ambient rainbow fire. and it was like, what is happening? And then he gets through that.
Well, I mean, Saturn's rings are just like one of the rings is dust, one of them's ice, and one of them's rocks. If you went through the dust one, you might be all right.
How much about space do you think the people who wrote this movie actually know?
Not much, I can tell you.
Only what they probably experienced on LSD. That's what I.
This wasn't a space movie by space people. It was a plant movie by plant people.
It was
it was a space movie by hippie people.
Yeah, exactly.
It was the epitome of a hippie space film.
Yeah. It was a robot movie, damn it.
But yeah, so after Bruce Dern figures out basically he's gone too far for the sun to reach the plants, and he turns on the plant lights, and he's like, one drone got wrecked.
Pretty quick, he names them, and then in like the next scene,
well, yeah, because one of the
drones
drones gets wrecked when he's going through the rings. Isn't that what happens?
Its leg gets caught and it goes flying off into space, and then a second drone.
He hits one with a go-kart.
Did he hit it with a go-kart?
Yeah, he hits one of them with his go-kart. He's like speeding down the hallway and he like smokes it.
And that's how.
And he tries to fix it and he's just like, "Sorry, man, I can't fix you."
Yeah. Was it with his go-kart? I can't even remember exactly.
Yeah, he smoked it with the go-kart. It was a crazy scene.
He turned into that which he hated.
Exactly.
Maybe that's what I
wild
fell
drivers.
asleep through. That's probably the part I must have fallen asleep through, because you weren't here for this, Davin. The moment I fell asleep is when he's teaching the robots how to play poker, and then the moment I woke up in the film is when they're like, "Lol, are you there?" And they're like calling him back because they managed to find him on the other side of the rings. So I was like, "What is this?"
You know what? When you're watching this movie, you're kind of like, "What's happening?" But now, the more we talk about it, the more I like it. And the more I watch the other robot movies, the more I like Silent Running.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that.
I do have a note here. He runs over the robot Huey in my notes. So
yeah, it's a crazy scene.
I must have missed that one then. The scene that held it for you, Kyle, was basically the end of the film. I don't know exactly what point. I was just told the end of the film.
Yeah, it just was like what was the most memorable for me, because even like up to the point where he's like just blows himself up, it was just like, oh, like, and then it's just very like, again, this movie for the most part is generally like very like quiet. It doesn't hold a lot of that like emotional gravitas that like modern movies do with music. It's just like dude just offs himself, and it's like the end. Like,
I do like that about some 70s movies, though, that they are really quiet.
I think part of it is that like it's also like I think a movie now that told a similar story, they might be like, can you take out the part where he kills himself? Like it's just, or they would do it in like a much like more obvious or kind of drawn out way, maybe.
Like, one thing I like about the old movie... Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, so yeah, like just again for a movie of that era to end on a just very like abrupt, bleak note, like just snap your fingers and he's gone. Like
kind of the time. That's kind of the time though. Like, that's what I liked about movies back then. Like even like Bridge on the River Kwai, it just ends with this crazy madness. And like a lot of the older movies we watch are kind of like that. They're just like, and the end. And you're like, what just happened there? And like that's how they decided to end their movie. So you're right, it would totally be different now as a modern movie.
Yeah, but like I guess so in a way, I guess you have to say like, you know, it holding up. It has like a little bit of this, yeah, like just some like unpredictable in a way.
I feel like they tie it up tighter in a modern movie, because he lets the forest float off. Well, like, the forest is saved. It's like it's just gonna die without his care, because he has the. You're supposed to see the one robot taking care of it, but what if something happens to that robot, or like, because the robot fly the ship too? Because it's just, where is this forest floating to?
What if it tips over?
What if the bulbs go out? Like,
first thing I thought is, what if a squirrel starts digging at it or something?
Is there squirrels in there?
Yeah, you see,
there would have to be a complete ecosystem. Yeah,
the fattest squirrel I've ever seen.
You see
in
a
my
squirrel,
life.
and you see.
That was a pet squirrel.
That
was a pet squirrel.
Yeah, there's a
This
squirrel and a
chonker
rabbit
of a
and
squirrel.
some kind of bird too, I think, right? Doesn't he hold a bird?
Right.
Yeah, he holds
Yeah,
with his
he
arm
holds
like
like a
freaking-
crow.
Yeah,
He
or
gets this,
something.
like black and
Yeah.
white crow that flies on his arm, and like he feeds it, and he's like, "Ow! Don't you bit me! Don't do that!" And it flies away again, and it's like, yeah, it was a weird selection of animals that lived in this
and
forest.
it showed one like iguana or something when he was in.
Well, yeah, they were
when
showing
he's in the
showing
desert-
different
desert
biomes,
biome,
right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
When he was in the desert one, it showed a little lizard in there.
Yeah, there was an iguana. That's when I was like, okay, so there are different sort of biomes, but I couldn't to guess
What's the point of a
Judging-
desert biome?
for
We
desert.
better save
animals.
this sand.
Well, yeah, you know what's funny is he goes on about the forest and there's like a cactus in there. It's like, is that a desert forest? I mean, I guess.
It's
I
a
mean,
prickly pear cactus.
There's fauna of life that require
Yeah, that's
desert
true.
biomes, and if they're trying to like be conservative ships, conservational ships, conservation.
But like, what does he
life
mean?
form
Because here's a question. Because when the guy says, I have a couple notes here about when they get the call that like we're gonna nuke the forests and go back to, because the guy says we're gonna return to commercial service.
Yeah,
So,
they're
is
gonna cargo.
Is this like, yeah, are they just like long haul trailers, or is this like
Yeah.
a luxury cruiser, or like what do they
Cargo.
just cargo?
Yeah, they do say. I'm pretty sure they do say cargo.
Okay. And in the executive order, the guy says, "Kiss him goodbye." And I just thought, it's like, this is like, it literally starts with, "This is your executive order," and he says, "Kiss him goodbye." Like that's your like official address, and it's like this weird thing, like so these guys, they're returning to commercial service, so like presumably they're like the equivalent of like, our truck drivers of today, but they're also like conscripted into this military operation where they have nuclear weapons at their disposal.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
there's just so many things that like when you start to like think about like did you like how did this start?
This is the power of
How did they
American
start?
Airlines, Kyle. This is the
Yeah.
power of American Airlines.
Earth was failing. They
This,
started to pull some trees out and put them onto spaceships.
Yeah,
They put
it's-
air conditioning everywhere, so it's a nice, comfy 75 degrees Fahrenheit wherever you go. Wherever you go, from top to bottom. Like,
Another funny
everybody's
scene
got a
too
job.
is like when he's drifting towards like his doom at that point, and the buddy calls him. He's just like, "You're a hell of an American soldier," like telling him what a great guy he is, and he's already murdered like his crew by this point. They're like
Yeah.
congratulating him on what a great dude he is.
Yeah,
So
you
that was kinda
survived
funny.
an incredible trip.
Yeah,
I don't know.
but yeah, that's silent running. Anything else to say? before
Well, I
move
mean, I
on
think
to our
like we
standards?
do need to focus on, we're talking about robots.
We
So
are.
the
Huey,
robots
Dewey, and
do
Louey.
appear not very often in this film. He
But
does.
he's the only survivor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
one of them's
there's
the only
only-
survivor.
There's only 3 of them. The robot counts in this film were pretty low, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it had the most robots. Well, the most robots with movement roles, because in Bicentennial Man, all the other robots are dead.
That's not true. Not all.
Not all.
of them.
There are a couple.
There's
there
a
are
lady.
Couple, there are a couple. But
There's also
yeah,
the
like-
baseball one.
yeah. And there's the one that they just encounter like walking past the pond at the thing or whatever. But yeah, sorry, I guess it wasn't right there.
As you do.
But the robots, like the one scene, I think it's either I don't know if it's the medical scene or if it's the poker scene where like basically it's like there's like one little flap that like moves on the robot. Yeah, and it's like the guy inside is probably just like either using, I don't know if he's using his hand or if it's like, I don't know how. Yeah, somebody just has
His
a
hands
little
are his
tray.
feet. He can't be using his hands.
I mean, there's a
Yeah.
good chance somebody was just like off her screen using.
Yeah,
a wire and
probably.
pressing a
Yeah.
button, you know.
So yeah, the robots like were, yeah, they didn't do a lot of the robot things you would typically expect.
No. Well, and Robin Williams didn't do a lot of things you'd usually expect from Robin Williams in the next one.
So yeah, you know.
Right. Well, let's move on here.
We'll
which
move on.
performance would you
Bicentennial
hold up?
Man. All right.
No, which performance would you hold up on Silent Running?
Wait, hold up. Oh my god.
I mean, I guess it has to be Bruce Dern because
No,
most of the
I mean,
dialogue
you
is his.
you can't act like that anymore. Like it just doesn't. Like I
Nobody
think
else says anything, really.
I think Rifkin's was the best of the ones in there. I think.
Was that the guy that he choked out?
No, Rifkin.
Was that the guy in the white jumpsuit who like gets his hand busted up?
Yeah, it's the hand bust
Okay.
up. That's Rifkin. I felt like Rifkin was the
He was believable.
Well, he was just like the least, like, again, the whole, like, I'm coming from the stage, so I talk loud. Like, he seemed like he was the most, like, ready to be in a movie for what a movie would be today compared to the rest of
Barker. What the hell's Marty Barker been in since that?
Cal Rifkin's
Marty Barker.
definitely been in some
Absolutely
shows.
nothing.
Yeah, Rifkin looked familiar to me because I immediately had to look him up. And he's been in a couple shows that were popular in the last, like, 20 years. So he's been around. And Bruce Dern's been in a bunch of stuff, obviously, still. And brought us Laura Dern, too.
Laura Dern.
Yeah.
That's our connection here with the next movie. Laura Dern, Sam Neill in the next one. Look at this. We're going to thread this
we're
needle
all
right to the
tying it
end.
all back to Jurassic Park.
Yep. I don't know how we're going to do that with Finch yet.
Because those were actual robots that were really impressive, pretending to be dinosaurs. The best robot in all these three movies is the one that Sam Neill and Laura Dern encounter in Jurassic Park.
It's funny because it's true.
Oh, shit.
All right. Well, all right. Do you have a performance to hold up there, Murphy? Dewey. Say Dewey.
I'm just gonna say, I guess. Yeah, I don't know, man. None of them. I'm not giving it to anybody, honestly.
All right.
Yeah. No, it's
The setting and aesthetic. I actually didn't think it looked that bad for a 70s movie. It looked pretty good.
Part of, like, when you watch a movie like this, what I thought was how much of the scale model stuff that they did is imperceptible to the quality of a movie theater screening in the 1970s.
Yeah.
Because, I watched this on a streaming platform. It's probably been upscaled or redone in some way. And it's like,
What streaming platform did you find it on?
I don't want to give any names out to these
Okay.
streaming platforms
Fair
that
enough.
exist, but
Fair enough.
I did rent the movie legitimately. I'll
There
send
you
you
have
a
it.
bill for.
I went through Pirate Bay. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Pirate Bay still exists?
But
Yes.
yeah, like so the setting part of it, like, it has very much that feeling of like this is like two rooms in a movie, like in a set somewhere, and put together with a lot of painted foam, like the same stuff they'd use in like the Star Trek sets, where it's like, let's put a bunch of foam and paint it like rocks.
Don't forget all the weed and LSD it took to make this movie.
Yeah, maybe. So I don't know. Like, it does just look like cheap, I guess.
The most expensive scenes were the like little like lean back buggies that they had. I was like, what are those? But,
Yeah.
Like they're clearly like altered ATVs, but they're just like able to like lean back in them. I guess those were the hottest things in '79.
I mean, I bet you if we looked up there was probably some other movie made by the same studio that used those, and they just took them.
Probably. Yeah, no, I mean, I wasn't the biggest fan of the general sets, but the like miniature scale stuff really threw me off, because there'd be moments when it's like, okay, that's definitely a painted background, and I'm fairly certain at one point they were projecting an image like of some form of space, but it wasn't on like a smooth background. It looked like it was on a bumpy wall or something.
Like a curtain or something.
Yeah, but it wasn't even like that. It was just like these weird shapes on the projection. Like it was definitely off.
Space is weird, Murphy.
Yeah,
Watch some Star Trek. It's quantum filaments.
I have
You saw
I
subspace rifts.
I know my self-sealing stem bolts. Okay.
It was Predator in cloak mode.
Yeah.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Yes.
I'm very, very hungry.
Silent Running, 1979. The three drone
72.
robots.
73.
What movie did you watch?
You watched the wrong
It
Silent
is
Running.
72. No, it is 72. Sorry, I got this in my head. It was 79. That makes that completely understandable why it was so much.
No,
worse
for
than
a
I thought.
79 movie, this doesn't hold up at all. 72.
There's a great leap forward in 77 in space and robot movies in particular.
Well, there was Star Wars at that point.
Yeah, that's right.
Could you imagine this came out after Star Wars? Oof.
Exactly. Well, look, some sci-fi movies that are a lot worse than this came out after Star Wars. And because of Star Wars, everyone was just like, let's do space movies, they're hot. And it's just like, well, what
Could
are
you imagine
doing?
if George Lucas watched this movie and instead of launching Warwick Davis's career, he just put more amputees in droid costumes?
He's like, that's the ticket.
I mean, could have worked.
Could have worked. So yeah, Silent
Not for
Running,
Warwick Davis.
Yeah.
1972. The three drone robots, Huey, Dewey, and Louey, named after Donald Duck's nephews, were operated by
They were?
multiple amputee actors: Mark Pearson, Steve Brown, Cheryl Sparks, and Larry Wisenhunt. Wisenhunt. All right. During the poker game scene, Lowell asks his crewmates, "What about the forest?" A sample of this sentence is the core element of the track Photosynthesis, World of Sleepers 2006 by Swedish electronic music duo Carbon Based Lifeforms. I listened to this album when I found out about this fact, and it's a pretty good album. And that song Photosynthesis is pretty good. And yeah, they definitely use the song, the audio bite, What About the Forest? A model of the Valley Forge space freighter is on Haish's work table in the movie Ready Player One. The main character Percival is excited to see it, along with other along with other notable spaceships from other sci-fi movies, including Deep Space Nine. Several shots of the Valley Forge and its sister ships were later reused in the television series Battlestar Galactica as agricultural ships in the refugee fleet. The Valley Forge was the name of the first starship that the main character of the Robert Heinlein novel Starship Troopers is assigned to shortly after its destruction. And then when this movie was released in Italy, its translated title was 2002: A Second Odyssey, implying it was a sequel to Stanley Kubrick's masterpiece.
No way. That can't be true.
Yes.
I mean, what's stopping people from just arbitrarily naming their movie something very similar to another movie?
2002: A Space Odyssey.
A Second Odyssey.
Doesn't even take place in 2002.
No, I know, but yeah.
Do we know when it takes place?
It's like 2020 or something, I think.
Is it? The only thing I got for timeline is something he references 8 years on working on the project, and that's all I know.
Bruce Dern plays a botanist in this film. His daughter Laura Dern plays a paleobotanist in Jurassic Park.
Sure does.
Hey.
Red Dwarf from 1988, creators Rob Grant and Doug Naylor cited Silent Running as one of their influences behind the BBC sci-fi sitcom. In DNA 1991, Lister tells Rimmer and Kat a story about visiting a botanical garden aboard Red Dwarf after he was dumped by his girlfriend Kochansky. So it's potential that Red Dwarf is within this universe. According to Sci-Fi Movie Zone, scenes in the forest environments were supposed to be shot in the Mitchell Park Domes in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The movie's production budget forced these scenes to be filmed in an aircraft hangar in Van Nuys, California. I'm sure the budget may have been misplaced. 3 drones are shown in the film. The original script describes hundreds of drones being on the ship, and after hijacking the space freighter, Lowell reprograms hundreds of drones to black out the exterior of the ship by burning the paint with torches to camouflage the ship. The ship is a dark color, making it more difficult for the ships to track in the darkness of space. I thought that was
you
really
see
cool.
what happened there. They couldn't find enough double amputee actors.
They didn't want to overwork the 4 that they had.
Maybe, yeah. I think it's
that would've
more
been a
that,
lot.
Devin. Yeah, maybe it's more that. I mean, they already had 4. They already had a ratio of 4 to 3. So if they had 100 robots, they would have needed, like
140,
180, 140 actors or something. Yeah.
Cinematography.
Double amputee actors.
Cinematography: Charles F. Wheeler. Edited by Aaron Stell. Music by Peter Shekel. Release date March 10th, 1972. 89 minutes. It had a budget of $1,350,000. And does anyone want to take a guess at the box office?
Oh, not.
I mean, because of that grin on your face, I'm gonna go $6 million.
I imagine word got out pretty quick, but I think the hippies went. So
You prepared for this? I was shocked. I had to triple check this.
they made a bunch of money, didn't it?
$331.
That can't be true.
$331 worldwide.
So 10 people went. Well, no, movie tickets back then, it's probably 100 people.
It made $7,000 in Blu-ray sales, but for original box office ticket sales, it made $331.
What's
That
that?
can't be
triple checked
true.
this.
What's that in
triple
today's
checked
money?
Crazy. That's crazy.
What was a
I
movie ticket
triple
back?
checked
Like
You
a dollar?
could just if you're all their
$3.
family members didn't even go.
That's crazy.
I never heard of this film until you brought it to the table, and yeah, I triple checked, and
It's actually a pretty well-known film. I ran into it as a young lad,
yeah, it did well on Blu-ray sales. It's got somewhat of a
$7,000 isn't great on Blu-ray sales.
It did somewhat well on Blu-ray sales. I didn't say it did great.
It was enough to live off for a month.
I mean, they got to, pay
Well, hey, you know
for
what?
shipping.
Add $5 to that total because I rented that movie.
You're like one of the main benefactors of this
Yeah,
film.
yeah.
They should
There's
put your
some
name on
guy-
the credits.
There's some guy who's gonna get his royalty check next month and be like, "Silent
Bruce
product."
Stern's gonna be like, "Holy shit, who paid for
Bruce
that?"
Stern's gonna be like, $1 for someone watching Silent Running. What the fuck? This movie's still making.
So yeah,
They really do need to add you to the credits.
Yeah,
Is that
at a
all
certain-
your morsels
at a
there,
certain-
Murphy?
At a certain
That's
point,
it,
if
that's
nobody
my
has
morsels.
paid to watch a movie and you pay to watch it, you get added to the credits.
Well, if it makes $300 in theaters, I think you should.
Yeah.
Rewatchability. When you guys gonna rush back to your
No.
seats to watch this one?
I can
None
barely
at
watch it
all.
the first time, man. I
Like-
mean,
There
I've
might
seen
like
this movie
if you
twice
I
now.
think if you were a set junkie, you'd look for little details and how they put the sets and props and stuff together and the robots, but as far as actual movie, no. You might go through and pause different scenes and be like, "Oh, okay, I see how they made that," or whatever, but there's no reason to watch that movie.
What about if you're a plant guy and you're wondering why all your plants are
I
dying
feel
while
like
you're
it didn't
drifting
really
away
even
from
have
the
enough
sun?
to do with plants, honestly.
yeah,
No,
it was so
really
bare
didn't.
minimum on the plant. This guy is the worst botanist to actually be there. If you couldn't
Yeah.
figure out that they
Like,
used
Hey,
he's-
cantaloupe is not easy to grow, and his cantaloupe was delicious.
But
apparently.
cantaloupe was
where does he
store-bought,
where
and
does he
that's why
get
it
the
stank.
where does he get the water for the plants? Is it the same water that he's bathing in? What's happening there? Is he
Recycled pee.
is his is he getting in there having a bath and then
Apparently, that water.
Whatever they're doing in Vegas.
When he did the nude swim in that water, that's all Bruce Stern there that you get to see. It was apparently
Every 70s movie has a nude swim.
It was freezing cold because they couldn't afford a warmer for the water, so it was.
Oh, I'm sure it was freezing cold. Sure, Brucey. All right. Does it hold up? Silent Running.
no.
No, it doesn't. But it almost reaches so bad it's good territory. Because some of the overacting is hilarious. That scene
Yeah.
that I chose is hilarious. I would watch him flip out about cantaloupe again.
But it's a weird thing. But it's not bad. It's just that was just the style at that time. it is like a little over the top, but
Like,
yeah.
the message is solid. I align with the message of the film, protect the friggin' forest and the ecosystem.
Nuke the
Hell-
forest. Yeah,
It's
hell,
Medicine
just-
Man. It's my cause.
Just Wednesday night, I was at Kerner Hall here. We watched Twitch in the Forest, or Twitch in the City, which was an event gathering of people from James Bay in Northern Ontario discussing about the bioecology of James Bay and how it's a hemispherical importance for basically all of North and South America, because they like a good 90% of the birds migrate there. Polar bears come down from the south and have their litters and stuff like that. It's just or cubs, I guess. Either way, really important. Check out Twitch in the City, man. It's cool stuff that they're doing. But they're trying to work on conservation efforts to make sure that nobody tears it all up, because that's super important, like wetlands and stuff like that, and just major bays. And it was a cool experience. So yes, I align with the messaging of this film, and conservation is very important. It's just, what I would love to see? I would watch a remake of this film. A really
so would I.
polished remake where the scale is appropriate, could make some really impressive shots with forestry and stuff like that. Expand upon more of the importance of that, and then maybe a little more intense action, a few more bodies on the ship, a few more robots.
We can hear you, Clicky Clickerson.
Yeah.
And those are the types of movies they should remake. Movies that had a good concept, but the execution wasn't there.
Yeah.
Instead of being let's remake this movie that can't possibly be as good as the original.
Can't wait to watch Eddie Murphy in the next Beverly Hills Cop. 75-year-old man driving a truck down a street. That's what the market needs. More.
Let's remake Blade Runner with Colin Farrell. That's what we should do. How about we remake Silent Running? No, let's remake Blade Runner. People like the first one, right?
Remake Silent Running, but have Bruce Dern play the evil capitalist overlord that's trying to blow up all the forests.
Ooh, plot twist. Have Laura Dern play the Bruce Dern character. Gender swap.
There you go. Man, that's a good film. All right.
So, sorry, Silent Running, but no, it doesn't hold up. I wanted it to, because I like its message. Sort of, but the message gets so weird. They distort their own message with kind of weird. Yes.
If they had made the main character a bit more sympathetic, but they just made him seem like a raging lunatic. So it's can't get on board with them fully.
If he gone full on bloody murderer and just was chaotic about it, I would have been a little more for it. But he was just kind of a scared, wimpy dude. Really. Yeah. It was just he got himself into some, because just the fact that he sat there and watched 4 of the biomes blow up while he's casually trying to plant a flower or something. It's dude, why aren't you stopping the other ones and you're just cool with being there? Why are you even trying to plant a flower if you know this one's gonna get blown up? Why would you stop the only 3 other individuals on this ship from blowing up any of the other biomes? I don't get why those things didn't happen. And budgets, and they only had one set in a Van Nuys aircraft. How silly of me to think they could do more.
Well, yeah. Let's move on to theater. Well, you know what? Before we move on to theater 2, before I forget it, let's just do Andre's segment. Extra, what are we gonna call it? Recommendations? I don't know. I'm still working on the title for this.
Bargain bin? Andre's staff picks?
Andre's
what
picks.
What did they? What was it, Blockbuster's picks that was always staff picks or something like that?
Yeah, Andre's staff picks. He's not really staff, but whatever. We're gonna go with that. Right? We're gonna change it every episode. Andre's staff picks. Gonna be changed. So, Andre picks. I didn't get the posters this time because it's been a doozy of a day. He says The Iron Giant. Go out and watch The Iron Giant.
I agree. I was going to say the same.
And he actually sent 4 of them but I'm gonna make it the fourth one Edith's recommendation because she loves that movie. His other one is Ex Machina. Yeah,
Yep.
Ex Machina is
Yeah,
fine.
it's a good
I don't
one.
seem to like it as much as most people seem to. I don't even know if I've seen.
I'm with
that
you.
one,
Ex
Giant.
Machina was like overhyped. It was well
Yeah.
done. It was good
Yeah.
visuals, but it was like
But it was kind of boring.
it was kind of boring. Yeah, it was like, oh no, he's sexually abusing a robot. What a creep! Like,
Yeah.
eh.
And Westworld, the original, he chose, which of course they spun off into a show. And my Edith's pick is Wall-E. Wall-E's a great movie.
Wall-E is a great film. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also want to just kind of put it out there. I, Robot with Will Smith.
It's okay.
It's pretty good. Will Smith is, he's Will Smith. But the one scene that stood out to me in that film and will always stand out to me and terrifies me because every day we get a little bit closer to it, is when he's at the bar with his boss and he buys a single beer and he pays for it and it's like $75 for that one beer that he had. And I was just like, oh.
Inflation.
And I saw that when
Corporate
it first
greed
came
is what it really is. Don't fall
I
for
saw
this
that and I
inflation
was like,
bullshit.
good God, I hope that never happens. And now I'm in the year of 2024 and I'm just like, oh my God, it's going to happen.
See this sip? $6.
Yeah, this was this
It was
this
$6
over here
sip.
was about $3.50.
All right. Well, let's move over to Theater 2. Sorry, Silent Running. I was cheering for you. So, over to Theater 2.
Let's unbox Theta 2.
We have Bicentennial Man from 1999 with Robin Williams, the great Robin Williams, M. Beth Davids, Sam Neill, Oliver Platt, directed by Chris Columbus, which I think might be the problem with this movie.
Sir.
So, well, look, I feel like KH and I should talk, and then Murphy should talk, because I feel like Murphy liked this movie a lot more than maybe KH and I did.
Did you guys not like this film?
No. So here's the thing. Let me just say something. I was so excited to watch this movie. I had never seen it. I love Robin Williams.
Yeah, I'd never seen it.
I love
Either.
Isaac Asimov.
This was my pick. This was
love-
my pick, and I'd never seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I off big movies I haven't seen
But
either.
for context,
Murphy's
I've
walking
seen
away,
some.
but it's got Rob Williams. It's based on Isaac Asimov, based on his story that gave birth to Data from Star Trek TNG. So totally up my alley. Murphy, can you hear what I'm saying?
Yes, I hear every freaking
Okay,
word you're saying.
so but then he wanted to redo it. I feel like because then this movie came out, and then Isaac Asimov released another thing called the Positronic Man. So it's like oh, I'll show you. I don't know. But anyway, so I was super excited to see this, and my God, was this boring. Like, what a waste of You don't need Robin Williams if you're not going to let him be funny or do anything. Like, so eventually in this movie, Robin Williams starts off as a robot, and at start I was like, that's kind of fun. But, he doesn't do much with that. And then they make him more human. Where he's even got a human face. I'm like, oh, now here he's going to start Robin Williams in. But no, then he becomes even more boring. It's like, I just don't understand. I just don't understand.
Thank you.
It was but again, then I realized it was Chris Columbus movie. And Chris Columbus knows how to make a boring movie.
I mean, there was a point where in my head I was like, there's definitely Chris Columbus vibes with how this movie's going down.
Yeah.
It had his imprint on it, definitely. Yeah, I wouldn't say it was bad. I just kind of thought
this could have been so much more.
it just wasn't
You had a great concept. You had Robin Williams. Go. Just go.
It felt like it was. I mean, I like other Chris Columbus stuff. He does fun movies sometimes.
Sometimes
this movie felt like it was 7 hours long.
Yep. And not worth it.
And I think it was just under 2. And I thought I watched an 8-part series.
I will go on record to say this is my least favorite Robin Williams movie I've ever seen by quite a margin. Because I like most of the other ones. Yeah, most Robin Williams movies are pretty.
So, I will have to just put it out there too that just in general, I was not a huge fan of Robin Williams. Like, there weren't many. Like, I would generally steer. There's a lot of.
Oh, we
So
lost
that's
K8.
been the show.
Whoa, did you just cut K8?
He said he was not a fan of Robin Williams.
He just cut you. No, let the man talk, Murphy. Let the man
I don't
talk.
know. It was just something about. I think part of what it was. I mean, I could give some context. Is when Robin Williams in his heyday, and when I was like teenager, you were tween or whatever. Like, he would do these roles that were like, you'd get the secondhand embarrassment from watching his character kind of bumble around and make a fool of himself, and I couldn't handle that, and so I just wouldn't watch movies with Robin Williams in them because I'm like, he makes me feel awkward.
Like the Jumanji era, like post Jumanji kind of era.
Hook, Jumanji.
I love Hook. How dare you?
Well, no, here's the thing. Like, I like Hook, but like, it was so hard for me to watch it because the parts where he's just like incredibly awkward, I would feel that secondhand embarrassment and be like, I can't watch this. It just makes my skin crawl. Like, but I think as I got older, I did appreciate that that's like part of the whole point is like he'd be playing these characters that are just kind of like, and like Mrs. Doubtfire. Like,
he's manic. He's kind of manic. Yeah, I love Mrs. Doubtfire.
See, like, I mean, I don't know. So anyway, there's a little bit of that. I have to admit that I do have some biases coming in here, and I'm like, not it's definitely not a it's my hot take that
you should love this movie because this is the least Robin Williams movie there's ever been.
So let's
How do you not love what you're
seeing? The actual movie. We don't have to just talk about me and my issues with not loving Robin Williams movies.
I don't even know where to begin.
Hey, look, man, you have to bring opposing views on here sometimes, right? Like,
he's like, "What's your favorite scene for this movie?" I was like,
"The one without Robin Williams." There isn't one.
there isn't one.
I'm flabbergasted you guys have never seen this film because I saw it in theaters with my grandfather, and even then I loved it. I thought it was a great film.
Yeah.
Ironically, when I was watching this, I kept thinking of scenes, but then I realized those scenes I was thinking of were actually from Artificial Intelligence that Steven Spielberg had directed.
See, that's a better director.
Spielberg
would have made the shit out of this movie.
Wait,
no, you're right. You're right. I didn't like
AI
I didn't
is
really
one of those
like
movies
that
where it has a really great opening act, and then if you skip the middle act and watch the last one, you wouldn't know it's the same movie.
Yeah,
like,
and Jude Law can ruin any movie.
It just goes so crazy off the rails at the end. But we're not talking about AI.
No, we're not.
No, we're talking about Bicentennial Man, which I felt.
Oh, Dave says Spielberg made this movie.
He had a role in this. He did a role in this too, did he? I didn't.
Is he producer?
I don't think he was a producer. I don't know if he actually had a role.
Clarify, Dave.
Yeah, we need some clarification there.
I can look it up, but my keyboard's too loud.
It is very loud, or you're just like a stompy stomperson with the film.
Mics next to it.
Yeah. Oh, AI. Yeah. AI is pretty much this movie.
Yeah. That's
no, Spielberg made AI.
I feel like they bumbled the concept twice now. Like, Star Trek would make this way better. It's basically data.
Right. Well, we got to talk about Bicentennial Man, right, guys?
All right, let's talk about Bicentennial Man.
Let me say. Hey, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the trailer for this, but have you seen the trailer for this film?
Is it gonna feel 7 hours long?
I'm pretty sure I did watch this trailer. I did watch this trailer after I watched the movie. Because I was like, how did they advertise this?
Come on, you guys, I got a surprise for you.
Oh, I would rather be watching Mrs. Doubtfire.
Wait.
Amazon package.
Wow.
Like, even this scene, I was expecting so much from the unboxing, but even that, it was kind of nothing and boring. Like,
are you one's family?
Dave's right. It is the same movie as AI, except AI is more like crazy.
14. Andrew, this is very
the script is really bad in this movie.
It sucks.
Sucks. Chickens do not have lips.
Chickens do not have lips. I laughed at that.
To serve humans.
Like, they took an Asimov story and just added a bunch of really bad dialogue to it.
No! Out the window.
Took an
But
Asimov
there was
story and
something
Chris
different
Columbus story.
about Andrew.
Two cannibals reading a clown. One turns to the other and says, "Does this taste funny to you? How do you make a hanky dance? Put a little boogie in it."
They hired Robin Williams for that one scene.
He definitely
It
improvised
shows a
some
number
of
of
those jokes.
characteristics like creativity, curiosity, friendship.
Good night, sweetheart.
Good night, Andrew.
It is a household appliance, and yet you act like
No adapter at all, huh? That's the best ridiculous part about this movie.
At least you understand his power source. I have questions about the next movie. His power source.
No adapter for his power source.
200-year journey.
He learns and grows
Just plugs into
all the time.
any
To
receptacle he
become, this is an
wants.
external physical upgrade only. An ordinary man.
The secret to all this.
It's like even this song is not the right song to sell this movie.
But like some of these scenes were cool, like him forming the face and how they like did that and just
Wonderful. Take the next.
I don't know, man. There was some really good like technological advancements. In
Oh, like, well, the thing, like, watching this, and you notice it when you watch the credits, like, that it's, like, there's, like, puppeteering credits. You're like, yeah, okay. Like, the way they made that suit work for him, like, that was
That will
good.
bridge the gap between man and machine.
It works. What the hell is going on?
I am the proud owner of a central nervous system.
You can feel.
Will you perform an experiment just for the sake of science?
All right.
Kiss me.
This is when the movie kind of goes downhill. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
This is the part where it starts like, okay, but this is also like the last 30-ish minutes of the film.
Bicentennial man.
Because it's so long. Like, and it's not that long.
You see the last 30, I'm like, you sure it wasn't the last 2 hours of this?
Yeah.
Oh, it was a Christmas movie?
Yeah, it was a
Oh,
Christmas
man.
movie.
Because were they trying to sell those robots at that time?
The Robin Williams Bicentennial Man action figure.
You know, I think
Life
I
size.
remember some of those, maybe. I don't know. Either way, listen, I saw that film in theater with my grandfather.
On
around
Christmas?
Around Christmas. It was a good time.
Yeah.
We enjoyed it. I always was endeared by certain scenes.
How much of Grandpa's old cough medicine did you have before the movie?
None.
No?
What was her name though? There was the kid is played by Haley Eisenberg. That's
She's
Jesse
like the
Eisenberg's sister.
Yeah, she's like the Pepsi girl.
Yeah, she's a little Pepsi girl.
Yeah.
She hasn't been in it much these days. Yeah. Kyle, we need you to give us a synopsis of this film.
This is a film about a robot that is inexplicably granted a certain amount of self-awareness and sentience beyond its planned programming.
Because
And
of the positronic brain.
its owner decides the first thing it should teach it about is sex, and then it gets horny for the girl that he babysat and uses a proxy for her later in life so he can fulfill his desire to have a relationship with a girl he knew since she was 6 years old.
Yep, that's the movie I watched.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Nailed it.
Yeah, when you look at the nitty gritty of like how this is set up, in a Rivers film.
Me and my grandfather loved this movie.
Listen. I love Robin Williams films. Okay, I don't get the ickies when I watch Robin Williams films. He was every Robin Williams film I ever watched. I've greatly endeared. I grew up on. He was like the uncle I never had, and when the man died, I was literally shattered, and I'm sad about that even to this day. And it's true that this film, in retrospective, is not that great because it is a groomer's wet dream, and maybe Chris Columbus should be a little more examined. I don't know, because the way he painted, or maybe Isaac Asimov should be a little more examined. I don't know at what point the story of Bicentennial Man the novel and the Bicentennial Man the film tend to differ.
Well,
But
I don't know, Murphy. Asimov's a fellow mutton chopman.
okay, that doesn't mean anything. I need to see,
I need to see those
photos of
chops.
that.
before I can even comment.
Yeah, I have to see those and grade those chops at the very least. And how long did he wear them? Was it a brief experience?
I've never seen an Asimov shot without the chops.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, well, that doesn't bode well for my community. I'm already, like, trying to go uphill with this look, so I don't need any more rocks falling on my head.
Well,
God damn it. There are elements of this film I've always enjoyed, too. Like, I think it's mostly the camaraderie between, like, you know, Robin Williams and...
The relationship he has with Sam Neill is certainly, like, the good part about the movie. I do wish that could have been explored a bit more. Like, there was one scene where they're, like, at the wedding or whatever, and, like, Sam Neill gets up, and he you know, shows like his age or something, or he almost faints or something like that, and it's like
they're like watching his you know, father-daughter dance, and he like
he's like, play it back for me again, and there's just something about, like, I think there could have been either a bigger moment like that, or or maybe some other moments where it was like more about maybe Sam Neill teaching him about some of the not necessarily darker, but like the more kind of, you know, like, I don't know, the sadder parts of life, if that makes sense.
He started with the sex.
Well, yeah, it starts with sex and jokes. And then
it doesn't entirely, like, it, okay.
Look, Murphy, you and your groomer movies.
No, I have so many. I wrote 4 pages of notes for this movie, and it's all about how he just gets taught about sex, and that's all he cares about for the rest of the movie.
It's not even. I wasn't even the one that picked this film. Kyle picked this film for fuck's sake.
I've never seen it before. I just picked it.
Okay, so don't call it my groomer movies, you son of a bitch.
Own it.
Own what, Pete? Own what? What am I trying to own? Why am I trying to own this film?
Because you and your grandfather love this movie.
I know. I said we enjoyed it at the time we saw it, and I was looking forward to seeing this because I had that nostalgia of enjoying this film when I was a child, and I enjoyed the whimsy of Robin Williams.
They let children see this movie?
Yes, it was a PG film. Why wouldn't they? It's a groomer's wet dream. You can't get them unless you show them. Like, come on, dude.
Damn. Jesus. All right. Well.
So they get a McAllister reference in right off the bat, pretty much. If you catch that, they get the robot. They're like, "Yeah, the McAllisters got one." Or they say somebody McAllister. I can't remember which one, but I was like, "All right, Chris Columbus, we get it. You did that Christmas movie." So they put in a reference. They put in a reference to that pretty.
Home Alone.
Yeah, Home Alone.
That's a great movie. Chris Columbus did fine on that one.
Yeah, like, and then I thought he could just plug in wherever. Like, we don't have that technology now, so that's like pretty awesome. Like
he could just vacuum cord plug.
Yeah, he just plug in wherever he wants. It's just no voltage adapter or anything. Like, how long does he take to charge?
Well, okay, hang on though. If he was to go around the world outside of North America, he's going to need some sort of like plug adapter at the very least. 'Cause he was only
how far did he go in that little montage? He went to some pretty remote spots. How long does he hold a charge? Like, these are some of the questions I have. Like, if he has to charge every night in their house, how does he walk to some abandoned desert house to find some busted ass robot later?
And then what was their power bill like? But I guess they were so rich it didn't matter.
Well,
whose favorite scenes first?
You have
yours is technically.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, yeah, just because we'll get back to your synopsis in a sec. But like, this was the scene where I was just like, okay, maybe this movie won't suck. Like, it's been pretty boring so far, but this scene I was just like, okay, this was interesting.
Well, okay, so just to like lead up to this, there was a scene earlier between, what's his name? Sam Neill's character, who's just called Sir. He doesn't actually have a name; it's just Sir.
Yeah, it's Sir.
And he takes Robin Williams' robot, and he's like, "Hey, this thing created this is the part of the film I enjoyed. Okay, so I'm just gonna highlight the non-groomy bit, but the shit where the robot explores his humanity and like carves wood and like is interested in music and like the human aspects of living. That's the part of this movie that I personally
Yes, that's what this
on.
movie was supposed to be about, Murphy. And
it was for the most part. You just got like lackadaisical and was like, oh, this has got that 1990 friggin' mall shops sheen to it, and it just looks like shit. Like,
I believe the word you were looking for was lackadaisical.
Did I not say that?
No, you said lazy daxical. It made me laugh, sorry.
I stand by my statement. You were lazy daxical.
Fucking lazy daxical.
Anyway, so...
Not as lazy daxical as Robin Williams in this performance.
No, but that's the thing. This is Robin Williams' most This is Robin Williams' one of his more impressive performances because he has to tone himself down and act like a robot, and he does that successfully for the first 3 quarters of the film, and then the last quarter he's just like Robin Williams, you know, and that's where like.
No, he's not. He's boring. Robin Williams isn't boring.
Well, what do you mean? Have you ever watched Pat?
Pat?
Yeah, the one where he's like a doctor and he's got like a clown nose.
Patch Adams.
Patch
Adams. Yeah, that's the one.
No, I've not, for reasons previously discussed.
Yeah, I never saw that one. But that was in his like not as good movies phase. You got to go back and see what,
are you
like,
kidding
watch,
me?
like...
Patch Adams is one of his best films.
This is now a podcast just about Robin Williams.
Yeah,
I will fight to the death for Robin Williams.
Hey man, it's okay. I just haven't seen Patch Adams. So anyway, in this
Good
movie,
Morning Vietnam. That's a good one.
In this movie, what was we're gonna do Devin your scene here, right? And then something else, yeah. So you're saying before the scene he did Patch Adams, where he wasn't a weird groomer, but he worked at a children's hospital. So what's that about?
No, exactly.
And Hook, like the whole Wendy thing is weird too. Like
because they're kids forever. What does that mean?
This is unfair. Listen. He was getting artistic, and Sam Neill noticed this, and he brought it to the attention of Dennis Mansky, the robot of Norm Am Robotics, the leader, who's played by Stephen Root. And
I was so happy to see Stephen Root. That's why it's my favorite scene, basically.
Well, there's 2 scenes. So the first scene is what I'm trying to highlight, is where he like brings him Stephen Root, and he's like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm just gonna, how much money you want for him? We'll give you a new one." He's like, "I don't want it. I'm keeping him. He's mine."
That's the scene I picked.
Special. No, you picked the one. You picked a different scene. You didn't pick that scene. You picked the second scene where after, and it's been years, that the robot has been making like clocks and stuff, and he's made his own money, and he goes to them because it's before the wedding, and he wants a face, and that's your scene, which is not
that's
this.
The scene.
That's the trailer. This is Here We Go.
Dozen experimental models with expression capabilities, sleeker body types. We ran some market surveys and decided not to go ahead with the line.
Why not?
Negative consumer reaction. There's a growing fear that robots will continue to make the human workforce obsolete.
And they were expecting them to be funny.
For over 15 years, there's no danger of anyone losing their job to him.
Surely there's no concern performing these modifications on an old-style robot.
True. But procedures like that would be prohibitively expensive.
It is understood that you will attempt to rivet one.
Screw that.
Really? How much?
Really? Come on, that's so Robin Williams.
That is roughly one's monthly salary.
It's more than I make in a year.
Not bad for... What did you call him last time we were here?
Household appliance.
Household appliance?
Household appliance, yes.
I think I meant the other scene. The one where he threatens him with his lawyer.
When he threatens him with his lawyer? That's the scene.
Oh, okay.
I just didn't play... I only got like a minute, so I went with the...
All right.
Anyway,
okay,
listen.
yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
All the same. There are Robin Williams-isms in this film, but he's playing a robot and portraying it. You guys say there's no he doesn't act like Robin Williams in this film. Yeah, he does. Several moments throughout this film, he acts like Robin Williams.
Several moments.
Several moments between the robot acting that he has to do to portray the fact that he's a friggin' android. Like,
There was at least 45 seconds of Robin Williams in this 7-hour movie.
it's probably closer to like 3 minutes, but either way, like, there was enough to know it was Robin Williams. Yeah, I don't think you guys recognize it because you're not as familiar with the man's bibliography of work.
I actually am very familiar with Robin Williams. I just haven't seen Patch Adams.
And apparently Bicentennial Man until now.
No, that's true. Because that's
Have you
when his
watched-
movies weren't as good. That was past peak Robin Williams there, young man.
No such thing, sir.
This is way past Live at the Met.
Right. Well, I'm just gonna play my favorite scene.
It's wholesome.
No, it's a visual.
Is it ready?
Piece of genius. Okay.
So your favorite part? No, your favorite part of the movie is when it stopped being Bicentennial Man and started being Robin Williams.
Be careful, don't drop it.
No, it's just
'Cause
the
you-
scene, like how well it's done.
Yeah, no, it's true. Like for
pretty good for its time.
effects of the time, like it does.
So it's 1999. They had great
Yeah,
stuff.
but like still, like there was, you know, lots of varying levels of CGI jank at that time.
See for yourself.
You know, this is after they did that sweet freaking like separated body with the Borg Queen in Star Trek First Contact. And that looked better than this.
I don't know. There's whimsy to this film. If you look past the groomer shit.
And the boredom.
You guys aren't.
What's your favorite scene, KH?
Oh, his favorite scene is actually would have been one of mine, but I definitely this was a good one.
I'm torn apart.
Oh.
It's because I'm presuming that I could be kind of human if I only had a heart. Picture me.
Do you have an impact drill?
Yeah, we'll run the rack.
Thank you.
So he's
It's a good
he's committing androicide. I don't know what you call it.
I would say more like an android lobotomy.
Yeah. So, you know, the android that, to be clear, the first time he saw, you know, he had the horny mouth drop. He had to lift his jaw back up because he's like, oh shit, a lady robot. Good thing I was taught about sex and know how to react right now.
Thank you,
and then later he's like, oh, she's singing, I'm gonna just fucking kill her.
Well, that's because he found out that her whole personality was programmed and fake, and she wasn't genuine to what he thought it was going to be. He thought he found another one of him.
Yeah. So if people don't prescribe to his specific life, you know, life, you know,
they should be
rules,
lobotomized.
They should just be
man is
lobotomized.
trying
yeah.
to find a unicorn in the universe. You can't fault him for that. He's a unicorn. He's looking for his pair. Like,
so if you don't find your unicorn, you just like kill all the horses. You're like,
no.
No horn.
If you don't find a unicorn, you clearly sleep with the stable owner's daughter, granddaughter, granddaughter, granddaughter.
Stable owners, yeah, granddaughter, yeah. So I mean, I just thought like when that scene happened, I was just like, what the hell? Like, like I get that. Again, like I think if it was the case of like there were more of these sort of like, it was one of the few offbeat humor moments that it just felt somewhat out of place. But like to me, it was just like why is he so mean to this person? Like he's otherwise only shown himself to be generally a pleasant character, other than the occasional like, you know, little, you know, robot burn, like you're gonna get riveted, buddy, or whatever. Instead of saying screwed, like in that other scene you just showed. Or he says he's gonna rivet us. It's like, no, he's going to screw us. But yeah, it's just like, I don't know. Just to me, it's just like, it made me like the character less to think that for someone who has gone through so much to just gonna be like, I'm gonna kill this bitch.
I mean,
because
Dexter
you're singing
had
awful
his
movie,
DD,
Murphy.
man.
What were you
Dexter
thinking?
had his... What do you mean? What was I thinking? I wasn't the one you picked it, you son of a bitch. God damn it. I haven't thought about this film since I saw it in theaters.
So then he eventually goes to the UN. Basically.
Oh, man.
Okay, hang on. Before there's this one moment when he's like walking in New York City, and they show this is 1999, and they show the Twin Towers, but they've added like 50 more levels, like it's double or triple the size because there's two like arching bridges that carry it up higher. I was like, oh, if they only knew. Anyway, yeah, Bicentennial, man.
Which performance would you hold up?
I mean, it's got to be Robin Williams for me, but like,
No.
I guess. What do you? Fine. What do you? No, what?
No,
No. It's
you can
gonna-
take. Yeah, he can pick. He can pick who he wants, Devin. It's fine.
I know.
Robin Williams.
It's just
It's always
there's no
Robin
compare
Williams.
to
It's
other
Robin
Robin
Williams
Williams
film.
movies.
It's yeah. No, I mean, we'll watch all of them. We'll watch all of them.
He's gonna pick one every theme now. It's like, how do I make?
Doesn't matter what it is. I'll find a way to make it.
Oh, we're gonna do a photography theme.
For what?
For the one where he's like a photo developer,
Yeah.
murderer.
Oh, I want to watch Final Cut. I want to watch that one anyway because friend of the X-rated, Chris Britton's in that movie.
I mean, I think Sam Neill's performance holds up here.
Yeah,
like
he
I
was my
think
pick as
he kind of he does that sort of good like mentor fatherly kind of figure thing, right? Like he felt very like, you know, like cozy and not like, you know, kind of just fake foolishness, you know.
Yeah, I'll agree. Sam Neill did a lot of the heavy lifting in the first portion of this film because, again, Rob Williams had to be so like robotic, and then when he dipped out, the film started like hitting this plateau, and then that's when Oliver Platt came in with like his character of like what was his name again?
And then Robin Williams' character could finally
Rupert
fulfill
Burns.
its perverted sex fantasy.
Rupert Burns, who's like the son of the guy that made him. Basically, he's the son of you know. Oh shit, I can't even remember the creator of Data at this moment. Noonien Singh.
Noonien Sung.
Sung, yeah. He's basically Noonien Sung's son.
Alton Inigo Sung?
Yeah, that's basically who Oliver Platt is.
Setting aesthetic. It looked fine. I don't think it didn't blow me away for 1999 or anything. But.
No, like a lot of the scenes looked good. Like the city CGI cinematics, like those look kind of scrubby by today's standards.
I enjoyed like the setting and aesthetics because they would progress and there'd be some like changes. The exteriors of like cityscapes and stuff like that, they were very artistically inspired, and they were so much so that it felt very fake and would take you out of the film. But the practical sets and the practical effects that were done mostly with the robotics and just general people's design and the like sets and interiors.
Yeah, no, like
that shit was top notch.
Rupert's lab.
His lab was the coolest set.
Like that, yeah, it looked good. Like the set with you know, the like political forum thing, like that looked good.
The kitchen even stood out to me from the way it was in the first scene, like how it was more of like a kitchen that we would understand, at least if you're some rich motherfucker that can own that kind of style of kitchen. To later
What's a kitchen?
You have a kitchen. We all have kitchens. Anyway, there was that later on where it was like way more minimalized, and there was just like a booth instead of the family table.
Counterpoint.
Yeah.
How come he never finishes the basement? Even though he builds himself his own house, but he never finishes the basement. He just lives and does his work in that grungy basement for like 6
It
years.
legitimately looks like my family home basement, and I was like, what is this, dude? Like, you buy the robot just to clean this up, and you're expecting the robot to maybe, like, clean that up, but he just, like, takes a broom to it, finds a spider, and then discovers art and poetry.
You live down here with the brown recluse spiders.
Yeah, it just never, yeah. Like, the fact that they have a house that fancy with an unfinished basement is crazy.
It's already stupid, yeah.
But just then the fact that they have a robot who's into woodworking and, like, carpentry, who never does anything with it.
Just
like,
makes clocks, basement's still shitty 40 years later. It's just, like, not even, like, refurbished. I've been in a lot of rich people's homes, never has their basement ever looked.
Well, la-di-da, Mr. Jet Setter, Hobnobber,
DJ
Upper Cruster.
weddings, man. I was a DJ for weddings. I was brought to ridiculous places.
I used to
sometimes.
do that too.
And I bought couches from rich people before, so you have to go in their basement to grab a couch. Like, it's not like I... And there was one time there was a weird photo shoot with a dude and some chick in Nova Scotia where I got, like, tied up and put in the trunk of a car. So, Bicentennial in 1999, this was originally planned with Tom Hanks starring and Wolfgang Petersen directing. Tom Hanks in this film?
Would be better.
Much different film.
I don't
know. I don't know if it would be
This
better.
isn't the kind of movie you
a different
hired
film.
Robin Williams for. It's just not...
No, he's the one. This is the only one I could see in this film. I couldn't imagine.
So, I had a note that, like, was, and I'm trying to think of what other movies it applied to, because I'm looking at my note. I have a note that says, is Robin Williams being typecast as someone who wants freedom? And I don't know why I wrote that note down, because now I can't think of it. Because now I can't think of what movies it relates to.
Hold on. We'll put a pin on that. I'll get to you. This film takes place from April 3rd, 2005 to April 3rd, 2205. So 200 years, hence the name Bicentennial, man. Bicentennial. You get the joke. Hey. Adam Bryant, who appears as the android head in the first scene where Robin Williams discovers fleshy robots, he has been Robin Williams' stand-in for more than a dozen films.
Oh.
So, you know, that's a nice little nod to him. This I enjoyed. The aria that
Should just hired him.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. I will not stand for this absolute disrespect and belittling of Robin Williams' perfectly good acting through this film. Okay, the aria that Andrew's listening to when he first uses the record player is from the Dvorak's opera Rusalka. No, sorry, I'm going to try that one again.
Don't even bother.
Rusalka. 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 The opera is concerned with the fairy tale story of a water nymph who wants to become mortal for love. So, you know, Robin Williams is the water nymph. All right. The car that Ma'am drives in the film is the same car used in Demolition Man 1993.
Now there's a film.
The female robot Galatea is named after the statue brought to life by the gods in the.
Is that a Freudian slip, Murphy? What's been going on? You need to talk about something. We'll talk after the show.
No, I was reading Demolition. All right, listen. The female robot Galatea is named after the statue brought to life by the gods in the Pygmalion myth. I've never heard of Pygmalion myth? Okay, well there you go, Pygmalion. It could be argued that Galatea did not contradict 3 laws, as to leave Portia plugged in would have caused her more pain in the long run than simply ending the natural span of her life. Something to think about. Anyway, the women in this film have been having babies at old ages. The robot Andrew was made in 2005. He lived for 200 years. Little Miss was about 5 or 6 in 2005, but her granddaughter, Portia, is Andrew's love many years later. When Andrew dies at 200, Portia is about 80. That means there are about 65 years between the generations, and thus the average ages at which each person in the link conceived the next person. So Little Miss would have been 60 to 65 when she gave birth to Portia's father, Lloyd, who in turn would have been 60 to 65 when Portia was born.
Yeah.
Could you guys imagine having kids at 60 or 65?
No, I'm already
Not. I mean, I can't imagine my wife wanting to have kids at 60 or 65.
When Andrew shares his designs for his organ upgrades, he states he downloaded every known medical textbook into his memory. This indicates that the screenwriters envisioned digital books in the year 2067, which we basically have nowadays. The second film in which Robin Williams...
TNG did it. TNG did it.
All right. The second film in which Robin Williams plays a character that asks for his freedom from his master, the other being the genie in Aladdin, 1992.
There you go. Yeah, there, the Aladdin. That's why I wrote that down. Because there was one scene in particular where I'm like, is this just from Aladdin? That's I think why I wrote that
Yeah,
down.
but like if you watched Aladdin and then this movie would be even more of a letdown because he's great in Aladdin. That's the Robin Williams role.
All right. This film and Mrs. Doubtfire have numerous similarities. Robin Williams stars, Chris Columbus directs, and San Francisco is the setting. In both films, the main character, Daniel Hillard and Andrew Martin, played by Williams, undergoes changes to try and get what he wants. The one is Daniel is changed into an old woman so he can serve as a nanny to his own children. The other, Andrew, is a robot transformed to be human. Each makes a speech in court and is denied his rights by a biased older authority figure who says nothing more. Each continues to fight for his rights and in the end gets what he wants. The father, Daniel, gets to be with his kids and the robot Andrew gets his humanity and dies. Robin Williams shaved his considerable body hair to play the robot Andrew. Robin Williams later provided a voice.
Because they'd see it through all the clothes and the prosthetics. They would still see that body hair, you see.
Well, it'd probably just be, really hot in there.
I mean, yeah, you have to wear, like...
itchy.
One of those classic things where it's like, all right, I'll do this robot movie, but can the robot have a desire to wear clothes, like, partway through so I can stop wearing the costume?
I feel like that was more of a budgetary, like, okay, we gotta... it's expensive to put him in this suit, we gotta put him in some clothes, and then we gotta make him human.
Oh,
for
for
the rest of the
sure,
film.
yeah.
Robin Williams later provided a voice in AI Artificial Intelligence 2001, which was also about a robot who wanted to be human. And then this one, I couldn't even believe this one because the thought of this actor in this film just really kind of was like, wow, that would be something different. Tim Allen was considered for the role of Andrew, but turned it down due to
That's better
on Galaxy Quest 1999.
Oh, well, there you go. But Tim Allen would have been better at this.
No, I don't think so.
And then, Robin Williams wasn't the only actor, nor was Tim Allen. Here is a list of actors that were considered for this role of Andrew. Mel Gibson.
No.
Harrison Ford.
No.
Michael Keaton.
No.
Sure.
Baldwin.
Michael Keaton would have been great.
Bill Paxton.
Sure.
Jeff Bridges. Richard
Pax?
Dreyfuss.
You kidding me?
Howie Mandel.
No.
Martin Short. Billy Crystal. Jack Nicholson. Robert De Niro. Steve Martin. I would agree with Steve Martin.
Steve Martin and Martin Short both would have done this better.
Probably. They would have done justice to it. Dan Aykroyd. Bill Murray.
No.
Anthony Hopkins. William Shatner.
Yes.
And Kurt Russell.
Like, that's just basically like every
actor ever.
Who wasn't
top actor of the late 90s?
Yeah, who wasn't like an action movie exclusive type star or something.
Yeah.
Well,
Like-
again, this was Touchstone Pictures, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, like in that list, like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you gave me that whole list and showed me this movie with a blank character, in it, I think I would have picked Michael Keaton out of that list.
Yeah, Michael Keaton. Agreed.
Because I think he could do the straight face,
Characters.
a little bit of comedy, and actually be believable as a romantic
Likeable
lead,
as
a romantic lead as well. Because I think a lot of those people can't, like, the people in that list who are like the comedic actors, you can't have them doing the romantic, like, doesn't work. And the other guys are like too serious, like Anthony Hopkins, Robert De Niro, like those guys are like too hardcore. And like Howie Mandel, like, ugh.
No.
I don't think you could kiss anybody.
Yeah, right.
Not with that glove over.
That might work. Then actually, the part's like, the whole movie changes. I'm gonna teach you about sex. It's like, I'm never doing that. And then the movie's just way after.
I personally couldn't see it without Robin Williams. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe it's the nostalgic glasses. Anyway, cinematography by Phil Maho, edited by Neil Travis, music by James Horner. Release date December 17th, 1999. 132 minutes. A budget of $90 to $100 million. A box office of $87.4 million.
Not good.
Not great.
A stinker. Those Christmas movies usually do well. People are out with their families watching movies.
I mean,
you got a stinker
just
there.
shy of what their budget was. Like, they
Which
probably
is not
lost
good.
a few.
Rewatchability. No, it's
we
too
didn't get a
long.
Tricentennial Man, right?
Too long and too boring.
I haven't thought of this film since I saw it in theaters. And I don't think I was ever going to watch it again out of any sort of necessity, even if I were to, well, maybe if I were to do some sort of like Robin Williams, filmography
Retrospective.
watch. Yeah. I could see myself putting it within the slot. But again, you're right. The groomer vibes in this film are a little
even
too high.
if you take out the groomer vibes, like it's just kind of like, it's one of those sort of like melancholic movies. Like it doesn't have, like, for me, if you want to rewatch a movie, like it usually has to be like pretty snappy, either like funny or action, and this movie is just kind of like, it's just a little slow. It plods along. It does its thing. It's like, I just
the characters have to be really likable in a movie. Like, if
I figured it out.
Characters are great. You can watch
figured it out.
I figured it out. It's if Seventh Heaven made an Android episode, this would be it.
You know what? That dad in Seventh Heaven is like the TV version of Samuel. Like, I'm sure that's the guy where it's like, we have Samuel at home. And it's that guy from Seventh Heaven.
Dan Neal.
It doesn't help the groomer allegations because that guy also was a groomer, but like,
What?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
The dad from Seventh Heaven
I never
turned out
watched
to be a
that
big
show.
pedo bear. No,
Nice.
nobody watched that show, but everybody knew what Seventh Heaven was.
Does it
other
hold
than
up?
I wanted to say it held up. I enjoyed it when I was watching it, but after this review, I don't know anymore.
We broke him. It doesn't
I think
for me. It's too boring.
Well, I think it just like it's tough because like, I mean, we're all similar aged, and this idea of a sort of robotic thing looking for its identity, like, it's not a new idea, and it's been done so many times. Like, it's really
it's
hard.
every third episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yeah. So it's really hard to kind of take, like, it's not poignant enough.
No,
Everybody's
what I
copied
mean?
Isaac
it's
Asimov.
not good enough to transcend the fact that idea has been done to death.
Yeah, like it's hard to
narrative.
kind of like stand out in that area. Like if you try to think, what did this movie do different in the I'm an android, I want to be human thing, and you're like, oh, he got to bang his the girl he babysat's granddaughter.
Yeah, the only thing that separated it was the groomy stuff.
It's just it's so dumb to kind of drill that, keep drilling out that point.
Holes.
But it's like, it was just, man, like I have so many notes about this movie. Like,
Fire a few of the better ones up.
Can we go through some quick things that I have in here? The no voltage adapter I talked about. Why does the robot blink? I don't understand. Like,
because he's taking photos of everything around him.
Is that
so
what
it's
it
meant
is,
to,
you
like,
think?
be like
Yeah.
a shuddering effect to give him. But by the end
Why
of
does
the
he have to
film,
take
that
photos?
goes away.
Yeah.
Because he's visualizing and he's capturing everything and documenting
Sure,
like all
okay.
cameras and computers
Here's
do.
another thing that doesn't hold up, okay? The
All right.
mother has no name.
Ma'am. Her name's Ma'am.
Neither
and the
did-
father's
neither
No,
does Sam
he
Neill.
does. In the credits, he does have a name. She does not. She is just Mother, whatever their last name is. Or
Isn't
Mrs.
Sam Neill
Ma'am,
just
but
Sir?
No. They do say her name at one point.
No,
It's
they
during
don't.
a park scene. Yeah, they do.
They don't say her name.
Okay. Give me a second. I'm gonna find this.
I'm pretty
but I'll-
sure in the credits, she's just credited as like Mother, whatever.
Ma'am is not a name, Murphy.
Okay. Sir's actual name revealed when he and Andrew go to North Am Robotics for time is Richard Martin. Miss and Little Miss are named Amanda and Grace. When Sir and Ma'am are sitting on the bench in the yard, you can hear him say Rachel. And since the girls' names are revealed, this can be seen as Ma'am's name.
All right, so it does come up. All right, I stand corrected. But I'm pretty sure in the end credits, it just says Mrs. Martin.
Yeah, they just call it, technically in the credits, she's labeled as Ma'am, and Sam Neill's labeled as Sir.
Yeah. What else do I have in here? Yeah, he wears clothes because we're wearing the robot suit sucks. There's a point where when they say to him, you can't, like, we don't want to do this, he basically threatens war at that point as well. He alludes to the fact that there will be, like, go back and watch the scene, but he's like saying, you should grant me, like, treat me as a man or a citizen or whatever. They're like, we don't think I could do that. And he says something about, like, well, I hope this doesn't result in some sort of negative consequence. Like,
when was this? Was this his first trial?
Yeah, the first. Yeah, it's not even like you're calling it a trial. It wasn't a trial. Like, I don't know why you
like he was in a court trying to like to validate his.
Yeah,
humanity.
but I don't think I wouldn't call it a trial. But yeah, there's a point where he basically threatens war. Go back and watch that scene again. Again, he builds
He's
a house.
A monster.
Builds
That's
a house
what we've uncovered. He's a monster.
He's never able to refinish the basement.
The shades of gray that have been colored within this film.
There's a point where he's outside. There's a point he's sitting outside on the beach because they do so many scenes at the beach because whatever, where he has a fire. And I'm like, why does he need a fire? Why
because lighting. Because lighting, Kyle. We need lighting for the shot.
And then like the whole thing, like Galatea, like gal in quotes, like come on.
Well, I touched upon that. That's a reference to a pygmological myth.
It takes him 20 years to find Oliver Platt. He only wants to talk to the granddaughter. I liked the Panopticon Hospital. I thought was kind of weird. That was sort of odd. There's a scene where he's going to see
the future hospital was.
Yeah. It's like the Panopticon. If you guys know what that is, do we need
I don't know.
Panopticon lesson? Okay, Panopticon is like the prison where the warden's in the middle, and all the prison cells are in a circle around it. So that's like a Panopticon.
Yeah, because in the future, Doug Ford he basically wants hospitals as prisons.
Yeah.
Sorry, didn't mean to get political.
Rio Robin Williams, then they kiss. She's getting married to Charles. Galatea goes berserk. Another weird Chris Columbus moment about sex talk. Oh yeah, there's a part they call OSHA. Devin, you kind of work like construction adjacent, like no PPE. When they're working in the museum there, they're doing all that work. Nobody's got hard hats on. It's pretty unsafe in there.
Okay, wow, I didn't think about that. All right, listen, I feel like we're poking too many Swiss cheese holes in this film, and maybe we should.
No, look, just hang on. I got some others.
He's got some more holes.
Yeah. There's another part where there's 3 time leaps with Rupert involved. He doesn't age in the first.
I noticed that as well.
But it ages dramatically in the next one.
A lot of the aging up stuff.
Hey, you know what? Here's what it does hold up. Black female president. They have.
Was she the? Yeah, I guess so.
I think someone does say Madam President at one point, or he addresses her as Madam President. I was like, hey, you know what? They were thinking, like, in their mind, making this movie, they're like, in 200 years, a black woman can be president. but
2024, here we go, baby. Kamala Harris, let's do this.
But a robot cannot be human yet. But in some ways, we are progressing. And so they wanted to show that was their way of hinting that society has progressed, but not entirely.
God damn it, David, you're right.
Yes, it is. I didn't want to say it, Dave, just because I didn't want to pick on you. But yeah, you're right.
Is this a reference?
The American President is another awful movie that cousin Dave loves.
Okay.
But this is Murphy's version because he loves it.
I've been slayed. I don't know what to say anymore. Can we move on to the next film, please?
All right, we'll go on. I think that's all.
Does it hold up, Murphy? Does it hold up, Murphy?
No. No, it doesn't, unfortunately.
No. Gage.
It does, but it doesn't. But
And, like,
I'm gonna say you both are gonna say no. So just for the sake that I'm just saying yes, it does hold up because you're both saying no, and I don't even need to argue it. So I'm saying yes because it doesn't deserve a total bomb because it's Robin
Yes, it
Williams.
does.
It has some value because it's Robin Williams.
No. Even Robin Williams can have stinkers. This is one of them. Especially when you compare them to other Robin Williams movies. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, pretty stinky.
God damn it.
You know it doesn't hold up, Murphy. You know it's the American president for robots.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Alright. Well, moving on.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys have a timeline to try to do stuff in here.
Finch.
Finch.
Well, we usually try to do it in about 2 hours. We're going to run over.
This movie, even though it clearly says Tom Hanks is Finch, I thought the robot was Finch.
Me too.
I thought the robot was Finch too.
Because it's not a person's name. It's a bird.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know if you've done your thing, but we're gonna.
Yeah, it's Finch from 2021 with Tom Hanks, Caleb Landry Jones, Marie Wagenman, Laura Martinez Cunningham, and directed by Miguel Sapochnik. And yeah, I mean, this movie's okay.
Okay. Okay. This movie's okay.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. It was okay.
So, like, I don't really like Tom Hanks. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
So I have a bias coming
Tom
in.
Hanks doesn't really do good movies for me. I just don't really
I don't like post-apocalyptic movies, Tom Hanks, or robots.
Well, I
don't
love
know what I'm doing here.
I do love post-apocalyptic movies. Finch, yeah, like, you know what? Finch was like a solid 6.5 out of 10. Like,
yeah,
it wasn't bad. Tom Hanks was great in it, but the movie just didn't do enough for me.
That's what I was left with as well. It peters out sort of at the end. Like,
Well, just like, I don't know. I think it just.
It peters out at the end. The last 25 minutes had
well,
me
I'll tell you
sobbing
why.
like a child.
Well, there's inconsistencies. Like, I like the way he talked. By the end of the movie, he just has this, like, he just talks like a person with a southern accent, and it's just
He was switching into that other role. He was going into that other role he did around the same time that people panned that he did. It's like a Leonardo DiCaprio movie or something. A movie about Elvis. No, that Elvis movie. Sorry, not DiCaprio. I don't know why I said DiCaprio. But that Elvis movie where he's like plays some guy. He went into that character when he put on that white suit.
Okay. Oh, you mean Tom Hanks?
Tom Hanks did. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not talking about Tom Hanks. I'm talking about the robot.
Oh, the robot.
The robot ends up, like, by the end of the movie, he just has this, like, southern accent, and he just sounds like a...
I thought he
talks
sounded like
a
he was Norwegian or, like, Scandinavian.
At the start, he did for the first half. And then by the end, he's just like a dude with a southern American accent, so it was kind of jarring to me.
Yeah, well,
and,
like, Tom Hanks was, like, really good, but I thought it would be... I guess it just wasn't the movie I thought it was going to be. Like, I didn't know much about it. Like, Apple TV doesn't really promote their stuff very well. I'd probably seen a trailer at some point. I thought, the moment, I mean, it comes up when you go to, like, my favorite scene. Like, I thought the moments of tension were going to maybe, like, escalate and go up a bit. It, like, didn't, I guess, yeah, it wasn't what I thought it would be. Like, I thought, like, I watched it, I was like, yeah, Tom Hanks can solo carry a movie. We know this. That's like, he's...
Why they hired him.
He's done this before. But it, again, it was just like, I think that Jeff just didn't do enough for me.
For me, Jeff I liked Jeff for the first probably half an hour, maybe a little longer. But then he just became a person. And, like, I get that was the point of the movie. It's just like Tom Hanks' character didn't like people, so he ended up creating a person that he did end up appreciating. But, like, he didn't act like a robot.
He made the robot. That's not why he.
No, that's not why he made the robot. But that's like the message that's his character arc. You know, he ended up depending on another person, but it's one he created. Like that's the whole kind of character arc for Tom Hanks' character. But
he goes on a big story about how he hated all the people he worked with.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then he makes a robot, and he's like okay with them.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay enough with.
Did you watch this movie, Murphy?
I did watch this movie.
Okay.
I didn't know what to expect from this movie other than Tom Hanks was in it. I started watching it, and I was getting the gist that this was like, you know, Castaway in a desert wasteland, and I was prepared for that because Castaway is one of my all-time favorite films, and I don't know what it is about Tom Hanks acting with inanimate objects, but he makes me weep like a frigging child. The hardest I've ever cried in a film was Castaway when he's crying to Wilson as it floats away. Hardest I ever cried. Up until I watched this film, and the last 25 minutes of this film had me sobbing like a child. I literally had a hard time breathing because I was crying so hard through the last 25 minutes. Literally, from the moment he started going off until the very end, I was just like, I was a weepy piece of shit. And the fact that you guys
I don't like
just
dogs.
like, it was an okay film.
Oh man! This is the movie where like this is the movie though where like you have like the you know the Venn diagram of like how people react in movies, and it's like there's the thing where it's like the robot gets killed by the bear trap, and like some people are like, oh my god, and Davin's probably laughing.
I mean, I was like, okay, that was a bit.
That looked
ridiculous.
Scene, that was a very stupid scene, and I did laugh.
It was okay. The Dewey getting eat up by the bear trap was a bit dumb, but at the same time, it was an intense scene because that's the moment you start to realize that they're not a fucking lone. And
like the overall
of the film is
overall
like,
that scene like did kind of put in some tension, which is kind of what like again like I think it was just maybe like my expectations kind of skewed my reaction to the movie because I thought it was
post-apocalyptic. They're usually tense.
Like I thought it was going to be a bit more like that kind of slow burn, like rising intensity thing, and then it happens, and then just kind of like stops abruptly without really having like and then it just kind of switches gears to him being like, "Please take care of my dog," kind of thing.
Yeah, like a lot of the main movie or story points in a movie like this, he aren't really in the movie. He just tells them as stories. We're like.
It's a movie about other things that happened, and the best movie that does that is The Ballad of the Buster Scruggs.
The Ballad of Buster Scruggs is an amazing film. I
do like that movie.
It's such a good.
Is that with
film.
Tim Blake Nelson?
Yeah.
There's like 4 different.
That movie, that role was made for Tim Blake Nelson.
It really was.
He should have been the voice of Jeff.
Well, you know what's eye-opening is the trailer for this film. Have you guys ever seen the trailer for this film?
No, I said I don't think I did watch the trailer. I can't think of it, so I'm curious now.
I never heard of it until I watched it.
It all happened so fast. There was a solar flare. Goodbye crops and food, goodbye everything.
The science behind this film is sound.
Yeah.
Frightened.
What was his power source?
Solar.
I found you.
You guess. That's a lot to run off of solar. And where was the solar panels?
Get your elbows off the table.
That's what I'm saying. Like the whole movie, I'm like, where are they plugging this robot in? Why is he not running out of power? What is his power source?
Giant.
See, I assume that he had him plugged in the building, and then they had him just plugged
now,
him
if
in
you
the
can
Caribbean
speak,
with the solar panels over
tell me
there.
something about you.
I needed some explanation on this robot. The science was not great in this.
If we don't go before that storm hits, we'll
I like
die,
that it was
all of
a
us.
solar flare and
As soon
not
as
your
you can
standard
walk,
like
we're leaving.
nuclear fallout and all that.
That's falling.
1, 2.
Head west, over the mountains.
But like the main thing in a post-apocalyptic movie is that like the people are always the bad guys turn against each
Ease your foot up just
other.
to
And,
here.
like he mostly just talks about that. You don't really get to see any of that. And that would have added the tension.
Hey, what's all the fuss?
I learned to talk dog.
I don't think it likes me.
See, I liked when he talked like that.
Come and see this.
But then by the end of this movie, he just says that he just talked like a human with a southern accent.
Hang on to something.
And the scene was intense too.
We should be safe once we get into the mountains.
Those things will happen. Like 150-degree heat, UV
It's hot.
radiation,
122.
hiding in the shadows.
This trailer's
Not without my team.
better directed than the
What
movie,
we
I
do.
think.
We do. Together.
Better edited. Direction's the same, man. You know what directors and editors do on movies?
Yeah, I know.
Every scene in the trailer is not in the movie, directed by someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would have changed my expectations going into the movie because it shows the little comedy bits that are in it, and I think I didn't expect it to kind of be lighthearted. I think if I understood that it was a lighthearted apocalyptic road trip movie, and that's what I went in to see, then I would have been like, yeah, okay, cool. That's what that movie was.
So were you expecting like I Am Legend with Tom Hanks?
Kinda. I think so. Yeah. Except instead of a dog, he has a robot.
What's that movie? District.
And he has to kill it at the end so it doesn't
District
become
13.
That has, yeah. It's like not that one. That's the one with the
District
Chappie.
9.
Yes, Chappie. Chappie's what I'm thinking of.
District
15
9
minutes in,
has-
I'm like, this is just going to be Chappie, but not nearly as good. And that's kind of what it was.
District 9 is the alien movie. District 13, or Banlieue Tres, is the awesome parkour cop movie.
Right. Yes, that's all correct. Absolutely. Yeah, okay. So, the basic synopsis of this film is Tom Hanks plays the character of Finch Weinberg, who is apparently...
Not the robot.
No, he's not the robot, obviously, but what was like
His
NASA...
name's Finch.
No, but he worked with NASA or something, right? Like that's why he had.
He worked
to, like,
with the
an
main
underground
a
facility.
big robotics lab, yeah. And
I
he
thought
gave
it was
them all.
NASA he was working with. That's what I thought I saw on his badge. Either way, he was working with some sort of major company that allowed him access to an underground facility, and we're introduced to his character because he's driving like a big bulldozer, or not a bulldozer, but one of those like dump trucks. Yeah.
Komatsu. We're
And he's
talking about product placement. Komatsu logo very clearly
Definitely
stated on
was a
that vehicle.
Komatsu.
Every
Not
chance
Cat.
they did.
And yeah, you're introduced to like him and the robot
Goodyear.
Dewey, and you quickly realize that it's post-apocalyptic desert wasteland, and it's very implied that he's alone on his own. He gets back to his home sweet home, where you're introduced to the dog Goodyear. And he's clearly a man alone with his dog, and you see him grab a bunch of books and all this stuff.
His name should have been a specific tire. It should have been like Goodyear, like 32
Winter
inch
edition.
Winter edition.
66 hours
2024.
tire widths are done, yeah.
So yeah, basically he's gathering all these books and he's feeding them through a scanner and turning them digitized, turning it into memory, and you come to find out that he's building the building blocks and memory and knowledge of Finch, the robot that's deciding that he wants to take care of his dog, because he's dying from the slow radiation poisoning of the advanced UV, because the sky above him is Swiss cheese.
Which he didn't figure out for a while. He said took me a while to figure that out. So the damage was already done by then.
Yeah, so it took me a while to figure stuff out. Like I'm looking at my notes. I have a note that says, "Is this comedy?" And then 5 lines down, I wrote, "Funny or serious movie?" So again, I wasn't sure the vibe here.
I got the vibe pretty much right away when he's like, "Oh, you're gonna learn to walk. The moment you walk, we're gonna leave because we got like 15 different storms impeding on this area."
And going to connection to other movies. They're going to
Jurassic Park. We have to connect this to Jurassic
San
Park.
Francisco to find the Bicentennial Man.
Yeah, we've got a Dewey. We've got a robot named Dewey, which connects us to Silent Running. We're going to San Francisco, which connects us to Bicentennial Man. Then we've got dogs in this film, and was there a dog in the other one? Either way.
Well, he had a Bicentennial Man. He had a dog named Rupert, and it was a very similar colored dog, but not a.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was one of those scruffy like Irish.
Yeah, little scruffy dog.
Yeah, so they eventually Finch starts walking, and they start exploring. They start heading to San Francisco, but ultimately Tom Hanks' character is trying to teach this robot, who's literally born yesterday, how to survive in this wild world. By the third act, you start getting introduced to the fact that they're not alone, which makes this film super intense. And
should have, but it didn't.
It did. I don't know what more you expected. I was like, oh man, the car, and then the car, like it was subverted, but it was an intense scene up until it didn't need to be an intense scene, and then it started breaking down the like, oh hey, here's the real story. Here's what happened to humanity. Here's the solar flares that destroyed and everything, but it was actually us that destroyed us. It wasn't the solar flares.
Yeah.
Because of that, you can't trust everything you're around. That's an important lesson, because you have to protect this dog, because I'm dying of UV cancer radiation, which in the essence of the science wasn't totally sound. Yes, the battery robot thing I didn't quite think about until you mentioned it, Davin. But the one thing that was crossing my mind often was he always needed to have a protection suit whenever he was in the sun, except for when he's driving in the car and he's in the sun.
Yeah. Because
Yeah,
glass, I don't know if you know this, glass doesn't magnify light or heat in any way.
So
not at all.
No, I've never gotten a driver's suntan before.
The R value on that windshield is 4,000.
Yeah, right.
And if you don't know what R values mean, that's really that's not even realistic.
So yeah.
I wrote how believable. I wrote how believable is the UV crap. That's what I wrote.
Well.
And then actually, I wrote in my notes, why not travel at night? And then later on, he did say, people find you at night, because that's when most people move, is at night.
Yeah. So basically, he teaches the robot, eventually how to walk, and they start making their way. And this is when he starts teaching them about how to like salvage and stuff. That for me,
but he never taught him about sex. So how is this even a robot?
If you didn't teach him sex or cards, if you didn't teach him sex or gambling, let's be clear.
No.
If you don't teach a robot sex or gambling, is it a robot movie?
Let's invent an entire city robot just to feed my dog and not teach it about
I
sex
think the robot is
gambling.
powered by Jameson whiskey.
If you want sex, whiskey, and gambling, go watch Westworld. We're watching Finch, the robot, the movie where you're teaching a robot how to protect a dog.
So I have a question, because I wrote down several times, is there a specific reason why the dog is extra important in this movie that I missed, or is it just because Tom Hanks is because
he found him.
A dog
is
is rare and
backpack.
sacred, so take care of it. Yeah.
No, because he found it in that girl's backpack.
Yeah.
He found it in the girl's backpack, and he grew a massive connection to the dog as it grew older. Like we all grew massive.
And that was the moment he
pets
realized he was a coward.
Yeah.
He even says that.
Yeah.
He realized he was a coward because he watched a girl and a woman die. That's when he realized
he didn't watch it. He just listened to it.
He just listened.
Yeah. Either way,
he didn't have the courage to watch.
You should have watched them die. Then you should have ate that dog.
Yeah.
You're just growing that dog to get it fat so you can eat it later. That's what this movie's really about.
I am really disappointed. I'm so disappointed that that's what you guys are taking from.
We're just in the comedy section of this podcast now.
No, this is not. I don't agree with any of this.
No, just this movie, we don't know if this is a serious discussion or a comedic one.
Yeah.
We're just
man. You said it's again I say that 6.5, 7 out of 10 kind of thing, right?
6.5.
Not a movie that I would be I wouldn't say it was bad. But also not one that I'd be you have to go watch this movie.
It's the best of the three, but
that's
not
yes,
saying much.
We'll give it that. Of these three movies, it is definitely the better of those three.
Yeah, I'll give you that, Murphy.
You talk about the science of this movie. I'll make one comment. I'm going to jump in here for a moment because there is a moment where they say it's 480 miles to San Francisco, and they say we're driving.
Enjoy that drive with some menthol cools. Like I just expected ads everywhere.
And they say they can drive 50 miles per hour.
Mm.
And so I don't know how your math is, but like 500 miles at 50 miles per hour would be like about 10 hours, right? But they say it's going to take 18 hours. And something about that didn't sit right with me. So I just wanted to bring that up. Maybe I misheard
P
what you're
brakes.
saying.
Did you factor in the P brakes?
You know what? I did not. I guess, Tom Hanks is afflicted by what his character had in The Green Mile, where peeing is really hard. So,
Kidney stones?
Is that what it was?
It's kidney stones.
And so...
You know that thing you get when you can't pee?
Kidney stones, yeah. I can't say I've had those. I drink a lot of water. I don't know about you guys, but...
I haven't had them, but I don't drink enough water.
So is that all that happened in The Green Mile? He grabbed his balls and just put water in there and fixed his kidney stones? Is that what that movie's about? When the bees come out of his mouth, that's just him hydrating Tom Hanks? I don't really... Anyway, Finch, there's a robot.
I love how much we've done a number on Murphy tonight.
What the fuck has happened to this podcast?
I don't know. You're catching me. It's late. Tired.
I'm just trying to get to my favorite scene, and I'm getting so fucking derailed. It's insane. It's insane. I'm literally just trying to lead, and you guys are like, ah! And I'm like, okay, cool, whatever.
Is your favorite scene where he throws the ball to the good boy?
No, this is it. Here's my favorite scene. I'm not even going to explain it. This is my favorite scene.
Never pass on the opportunity for your next meal, especially when you have a hungry dog to feed.
Especially when you have a hungry dog to feed.
Like that theater there, you see the padlocks of the doors are still intact.
They're still intact.
That means whatever was inside is still inside. Lesson number 2. Up there are holes in the sky. It's like Swiss cheese.
Up there, it's like...
Took me a while to figure that out.
Swiss cheese.
When the flare hit, it completely fried the ozone.
Yeah, see, when he still sounded like a
EMP took
robot,
out
I
everything
enjoyed him
electrical
more.
just
But
like
eventually
that.
he just becomes like a
It was a
teenager.
good thing I was at work. What are you doing?
I was locating the cheese.
I was locating the cheese. That was my favorite scene in the movie, and I was like, okay, I don't know if there's going to be any better ones, but I'm making that my favorite scene. And then the movie proceeded to happen, and then the last 25 minutes of the film was my favorite fucking scene of the whole film. I don't know how you guys didn't weep at the last 25 minutes of this film. I don't get it. I don't understand.
Like when somebody tells you the whole movie that they're dying and then they die.
Yeah, and you weren't sad about it?
Well, I saw it coming, let's just say.
We all saw it coming,
Hey,
but it was
can we just say, like,
weepingly sad, dude.
I'm just realizing right now that the protagonists of all of our movies all die. They do. Each one of these movies, the protagonist dies.
Yeah, and
That's
Tom
true.
Hanks had the most emotional response at it. Although I did cry at the end of Bicentennial Man when they were all like, you know...
Did you cry at the end of
Unplugged-
Silent Running? Because you should.
No, I
Fun
was...
fact, Murphy was just cutting onions and making French
crying
onion
laughing
soup.
at the end of Silent Running. Like, what have I done with my life?
I got weepy at the end of Bicentennial Man, especially when it was revealed that the nurse was like the female robot.
With Galatea, yeah.
Galatea. I was like, oh, the emotions, but it was a brief cry. I was like, oh, that was sweet, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
A nice little rose on the end of this creepy groomer film. But then at the end of this film, I couldn't handle the 25. I was weeping. I was sobbing. I was like, I had all the emotions. Maybe it's because I lost my cat, and I figured, hey, you know, Davin, you recently...
I just lost
you
a
would have
cat.
the same... Yeah, you recently lost your cat. You would have the same connection. You're both like, it's an okay.
Yeah, but I don't like dogs.
I don't... What's it matter? What? Like, animals are all the same. Why does it
Yeah,
have to
cats are far
differentiate?
superior to dogs.
Dogs are more loving than cats. Cats are superior, but dogs have emotions too. They're sweet creatures.
Yeah.
Is there a
cared
deep
about Tom
significance to the fact that there's a Dewey, which is like a duck character, right? And Finch, which is also a bird. I don't know. Is there like
And a Jeff?
Is there like a Jeff build something bird somewhere? A silver Jeff spoonbill somewhere? I don't know.
Oh, there's
Jeff
a
Footed
reason.
Eagle.
Well, there's a reason why he chooses the name Jeff, which actually coincidentally happens to be Davin's favorite scene.
Why doesn't the dog have a name?
He does have a name. It's Goodyear.
I'd like that name. Why not use it? He is your dog, after all.
Oh, he's not my dog. He is his own dog. Besides, with just the two of us, who needs names?
Not that I showed picking up the scissors. Where?
Jeff.
Jeff.
Jeff?
Jeff.
Jeff? Really?
Have I said something funny?
No, absolutely not. No.
It is short and simple.
Yes, it is.
Just like you suggested, Finch.
Mm-hmm.
And I've checked. It isn't a dog's name.
No. For the life of me, I cannot ever remember a dog named Jeff.
Then with your permission, Finch.
None required. In your hand. Other hand, corresponding hand, and shake hands. Welcome to the world, Jeff.
Like, that's sweet. That's
Yeah,
genuine.
that's a good scene.
That's great acting, and like,
Yeah.
it's wonderfully done. And I don't know what it is about Tom Hanks acting with inanimate objects, but it just gets to me. I weeped
good
at
actor.
a volleyball. I weeped at him, dying and his dog being left with a robot and the uncertainty of it all. This film was so good. It was the best film of the three. It was so
but that's
just
not
delightful.
Yeah, I mean, that was too low with the other ones, in our opinions. Yeah. No, like I said, it was like, yeah, it was. Like I said, it was like a good movie. I just didn't think it did. It didn't do anything that I thought was like different or new enough to kind of.
There wasn't a big message there.
It wasn't a groundbreaking film by any means.
Yeah,
it was.
yeah.
It's Tom Hanks.
Chewing
mostly
scene.
acting, chewing.
Tom Hanks chewing
Like,
scene.
it
But
could have
he's
been about
doing it
anything.
Great.
It could have been about literally him walking to pick up his mail and talking to a guy on the street.
But he
And
gets
then-
I lost my mail! Mail! My mail!
Accountant!
Maybe he's like, I cried for 25 minutes when that fucking mail blew away.
His license registration renewal was in there.
What?
Okay, so Kyle, your favorite scene was basically when,
Yeah,
Tom
when
Hanks
Jeff
gets too
goes
sick.
on the hunt for supplies here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good boy. Stay. Come on, Dewey. Let's get this show on the road.
One took for the bear traps.
Number 1. Never pass on the opportunity for your next meal.
I never thought he had a southern accent. I don't know where you get that concept
I
from.
think he's saying just.
He gets it near the end.
I don't know. He sounded
A little
Scandinavian.
extra
to me.
muscle wouldn't
Yeah, he
hurt.
sounded more Scandinavian.
Me too, and then it switches. It's weird. By the end, he's just like, "Wow, howdy, partner." He basically sounds like that.
Come, Dewey. Lesson number 3. Up there, it's like Swiss cheese.
It's like Swiss cheese. I'm looking for the cheese. Okay, that was my favorite run-on joke, was the Swiss cheese joke. The fact that that's the moment where the film really gets super intense was a huge turning point for me. I was like, whoa. This
Yeah, no, like I
became
really
way
enjoyed
more than
that
I
part.
thought it
Like
was
I think I wanted the payoff of Jeff having like an interaction with another human.
Yes.
Like
I
even
think
even
that,
at any level, like he's gonna like go break into the locked spot. And I'm like, maybe he's gonna like find some people there, and like not like the
Yeah.
usual like they take him and break him apart, but maybe like something like where he sees that other side of. I mean, you have to say what it is for people who don't watch this now. The comment says he wept for that shopping bag in American Beauty. And he's not denying it, so.
In the feather in Forrest Gump.
I don't have any words to say to that. I don't know what to say to that.
Forrest Gump
Never watched
Gump was Tom
American
Hanks
Beauty.
too.
It was, yeah. Tom Hanks was in that movie.
Wilson was a pivotal actor in a very important scene, okay?
But yeah,
And
so I just
also
felt like,
product
that
placement.
scene, and like I liked that, like the car kind of pulls out and starts following them. But then I thought like, yeah, it's like when the car comes out, I was like, okay, cool, like something's gonna happen here. But then just the whole like
It didn't.
it didn't make sense to me
It
because
was
well, they didn't explain enough about like I guess like it's this weird thing where it works and it doesn't because it's like the only context the movie gives you for how other people act in this world is like the guy kills the family. So like some people are scrounging for food and other people are murderers. So
But that's revealed after the highly intense, oh my god, they're not alone scene. And there's that whole chase.
Is it after that he explains
it's
it?
very much after that. It's
Okay, I couldn't remember the
They're
exact
under
word.
the bridge hiding.
Okay,
I
and he
need to
tells
tell
them about
I
it.
need to
Okay,
tell
okay.
you a story, and that's why you get the revelation that
But I guess it's
there
just
are-
weird that like the people following like if you're gonna do that, I guess is the point I'm making. Like, if you want the potential resources that Tom Hanks has in his vehicle, and resources like fuel to power your vehicle or however you do are limited, why would you follow him for that long? Like, and not just try to immediately catch up with him, I guess. Like, I just thought that was kind of. I didn't
They
really
lose them really stupid easy because like the car's right behind them. Then there's like
That's not
overpass.
right
That means
behind
there's an underpass, and like they go down there.
not right
they get
behind
out.
them.
The
It's
robot
not
pushes
right
them in.
behind them.
It takes
It's
like
not
2.
right
Yes,
behind them.
in
It's
like
not
car
right
time,
behind them.
it's like if the front car stopped,
was
the
3
back car would
hills
reach them in
behind them.
5 seconds. But in that scene, they do like minutes worth of shit, and this car still hasn't like caught up to them. And it's just like, where did the car go?
No, they show it. He's like pushing it in, and it's still 2
I
hills
know.
behind them.
Exactly. How is it all of that shit happened, and that thing is still 2 hills behind from them when it was never 2 hills
Because it
behind
was
from them in the
farther
first
behind
place?
them when. Yes, it was always farther behind them.
No,
Objects
every
in the
time they'd
mirror
go up
appear
over a
closer
hill,
than they
it would
are.
disappear, and then it
Oh,
would
is
go
that, is that what
and
we
see
got
it again.
bamboozled by objects in the mirror appear closer than they are?
Yeah.
Is that what happened to us?
Okay.
Does it ever actually directly show the car or only through the side mirror?
Yeah, it only ever shows them through the side mirror, and then by the time they're like
Alright.
pushing it in, it's like 2 hills behind them.
Alright.
Which is,
There you
it
go.
2
means it's
hills is still like 10 seconds in car time.
We've been
That's
exposed.
not 10
We've been exposed,
seconds,
Gavin. We don't look at our side mirrors.
Fine. I'm more of a shoulder
It was
check
an
guy
intense
myself.
scene, and listen.
No, it was,
I
like, I
get
think-
it.
I
I
think-
get it. I get it. I get it. I understand.
It was- I liked that
you
scene
wanted
until
more
the
interaction
night
with
time.
the robot and other human beings. I get it, but this was very much a 3-piece act, and the reason we didn't get that is the same reason we didn't see Javier Bardem kill a whole hotel of people in No Country for Old Men. It's meant to play on the psychology of your brain
Yeah.
while the scene's happening. Right?
Yeah, no, that's fair.
You know, and that's what makes that scene so intense. And then you get through that. You get through that, like, knuckle-clenching scene, and he's just like, okay, I'm done. And then you go through the heartbreak of him actually fucking going through the death, and like explaining his little history and how he wishes he probably should have done more with the time he had, but he didn't because work, family dying, the end of the friggin' world, and he wishes he'd done more and actually got to see San Francisco. But he doesn't. He doesn't get to see San Francisco. And his happiest moment is seeing the robot play fetch with the dog, but he gets sad because the dog won't bring the ball back to the robot. And it's heartbreaking.
But then it does.
And it does bring the ball back to the robot.
It eventually,
on the second
after
throw.
after he dies, it doesn't bring the dog. After the second throw, he still brings the ball back to Tom Hanks's character. After Tom Hanks dies, that's when the dog starts bringing the ball to the robot.
I think you're wrong about that.
No, I'm not. I vividly remember the 25 minutes of that
I have
film.
the order of things. I put Finch is dying, extended ball throwing scene, then he dies. The funeral pyre felt really risky. And then more ball
There's a
throwing,
reason for that.
Now they're friends. There's a
There's
reason
for the funeral. Yeah, there's a reason for that.
What's that?
Which I get into in my movie morsels, but
Okay, all right.
Yeah, basically Finch says his mother told him his father had Viking ancestry. When he dies, Jeff prepares a Viking funeral for the son.
You know what? Okay, cool. I did have that. I had something in my notes here that I put Viking blood and his dad was an army engineer. So okay, yeah, all right. I guess that's where he picked that up from. Yeah, I didn't make that connection. Good call.
Right. I don't know what to say. I honestly was blown away with how good this movie was. I was on ride from minute 1 to the very last minute, and
Ever seen Chappie?
I've seen Chappie. I enjoyed Chappie.
Chappie's better than this.
No, Chappie is not better than this film. This film's better than Chappie. This film is better than Chappie in so many ways. Chappie is a jerk-off fest for Dee Anterwood and Hugh Jackman. Okay, that's what Chappie is. It's just
Hugh Jackman. Was he in that movie?
He was the bad guy in the film.
No, see, like, are you confusing? There's Chappie and there's Real Steel. They're like the same movie.
No. Chappie. Hugh Jackman's in Chappie. He's the guard engineer dude in the facility that fights Chappie at the end.
I haven't watched Chappie, so I don't know.
It's a decent robot film, but Finch is far more superior a robot film, and it does far more with far less.
Which performance would you hold up?
You have two choices here.
Do you actually even have two?
You do. You have two choices. You have Tom Hanks, and you have.
I'm choosing the tennis ball.
The tennis ball. No, I mean obviously Tom Hanks.
Say the dog. Just say the dog.
No, I don't like
say Seamus the dog.
Tom Hanks.
Dog. No, Tom Hanks is great. Like he is.
Yeah, Tom Hanks is
really
great.
like he is good in this movie.
He is the god of solo acting a movie.
Yeah,
for,
the man knows how to. Yeah, like
he draws emotion. I've never met a man that's been able to make me absolutely weep by acting with inanimate objects for the most part. He made you feel emotions with a volleyball. He makes you feel emotions with a robot and a dog. And he does it. You give that man a bottle and a paper bag, and you will weep. You will.
But have you seen my card trick? Queen! No, Queen! I won't get to see San Francisco or a full house.
I don't
tears?
understand the joke.
No tears? That was my
acting
acting with an inanimate object.
You don't have the acting range of Thomas Hanks.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty good.
Listen.
You can't beat Otum Shank.
Arguably, I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but one of Tom Hanks's best acting roles is when he plays that Southern gentleman that's a part of
The Lady Killers?
No, not that. Was it The Lady Killers?
Yeah, it's The Lady Killers.
Yeah, because he's with the guys and they do an underground digging.
Wow, this music was made in the greater glory of God. That guy.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know if your husband ever blow a shofar, which is the preferred ancestral element of the instrument of the Hebrews? That he's always playing that character. Yeah, that was a pretty good movie, Lady Killers. That was a remake, apparently. I've never seen the original.
Yeah, either way, Tom Hanks and Robin Williams, they're they're the uncles of acting for me. They're the two guys that can make me feel all the emotions, and I have nothing but high praise for both of them. That's what I got with Finch. I don't know what to say. Setting, aesthetic,
Looked pretty good.
Great. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It was pretty. There wasn't a moment I didn't feel like I didn't want to be outside, and there wasn't a moment that, didn't take me out of the scene like Silent Running. There wasn't a moment I felt like I'm in a aircraft hangar in New Nyes or whatever they call it, California.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, movie looked good. Robot looked amazing.
Yeah.
His lab in there looked good. Like the exteriors looked, like they needed to look. Like, movie. It did enough of it wasn't so long since the world had gone to shit. So like, I find sometimes it's like, a movie can be like, oh, the world went to shit last year, and it's like already completely covered in dust, or like 100 years ago the world was destroyed, but like this diner, because there's always a diner that they run into, like the ketchup is still intact and edible. It's like, no, that shit would be fucking gone. Like, come on. So yeah, like I thought, like it just, like it hit the right vibe. Some of the storm stuff, like particularly when he's on top of the windmill, is like, didn't really kind of mesh with the rest of it overall. I felt like it went maybe too big for what they were
I would say
with the other part of the movie, but otherwise I thought it was good.
When he's on top of the windmill and he's doing repairs, he's getting notified of the storm because of the little spinny thing, and that's when he looks off in the distance and sees the storm coming.
Right.
And that's when he starts to clue in about, oh shit, how much time do we have to figure out and calculate? And that's very believable because I've been skydiving, and it was the day before a huge hurricane came to Nova Scotia, and as we were going down the Sunset area, there was this whole, you could see the hurricane coming in from the ocean, and it was still about a day and a half away from Nova Scotia, hitting Nova Scotia, right? But we could see it as we're falling through the sky at sunset. You just see this dark clouds way, way off in the distance, and then the next day and a half it starts to hit Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
So that's very plausible that he's so high up in the air. He's like, oh, okay, and then he figures out he's got 24 hours to get out of there.
Yeah.
So yeah, there it was the science in this film was pretty sound, except for a couple minor things which we highlighted: the battery life of the robot, and just the UV index is dangerous unless you're driving.
He's got really good AC.
We're sitting in a sunny window of a diner.
Yeah.
No, they had the blinds. They had the blinds done up there.
Oh well.
Finch 2021. The timeline and age of Finch, the San Francisco postcard, is copyright.
How comes I can hear planes coming at you, Murphy?
Yeah. The movie takes place in May 2028.
Well, okay, so not quite. The San Francisco postcard is copyrighted in 1984 and coincides with the release date of the stamp on it and the cost of sending a postcard at the time period. Finch says he was 15 when he received the postcard, indicating that he was born in 1969 or 1970. The Apocalypse Survival book was dated 2028, and there was mention of solar flare being 15 years ago. This would put the timeline at the movie at sometime in 2043 or later, and this would make Finch over 70 in the movie.
That's not believable at all.
I mean, I thought I have a note about nude Hanks, and I'm like, do you think they thinned Hanks, or do you think he's actually?
I think it was someone else.
You think it was someone else, but his head on it? Because I thought he looked pretty good there.
Well, but when you look at when they show the full nude thing where he sort of stands up, you don't see his head. That's the thing.
Oh yeah.
It's just a very, very
side profile,
and his arms are sort of in the way.
Where he's sitting in the chair.
Yeah, he's sitting down.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
that's him.
You think that's
until it zooms out and shows his full naked body, then it's not him.
No, that's definitely him.
No, he's a more portly man these days. There's no way that was him.
I don't know. He lost a lot.
He makes too much money to slim down for an Apple TV role.
Maybe I thought
that makes a good one.
My thoughts were either he looks pretty good because he is like he is like getting pretty old, or I was like, did they do the digital de-age/thin thing to him?
They put the Chris Evans body on him, pre-Captain America.
Yeah.
So the Jeff the Robot was animated using motion capture technology. One reason Jeff might have chosen the name is that his database contains knowledge of the comic characters Mutt and Jeff. Goodyear the dog is the Mutt, and Robot is the Jeff.
You actually didn't get my favorite part of my favorite clip, which was where he wants the name Rover. He's just like, but he's like, no, that's a dog's name. He's just like, I was thinking of the early Mars lander. Like, I thought that was pretty funny.
Well, you could have specified that. But either way. Director Miguel Sapochnik said in an interview with Collider that there was originally a lot more story after Jeff and Goodyear reached the Golden Gate Bridge, but it would have made the movie a lot longer, and he decided to cut it. Sapochnik's wife, Alexis Rabin, and Skeet Ulrich were set to appear in those scenes. So there was meant to be like an additional sort of scene after the Golden Gate that would have had him interacting with other humans.
Well, Skeet Ulrich takes every 6.5 up to an 8.5.
That's why Blade's so good, right?
Finch's small robot is named Dewey in a nod to the robots Huey, Louey, and Dewey in Silent Running. In Silent Running, a man is left alone with only the company of his robots and teaches Dewey how to look after the plants, and a guard has a spaceship. One of the Finch's books is titled Apocalypse Survival and is dated 2028. The composer Gustavo Santaolalla
Just move on, Murphy.
Gustavo Santaolalla.
Gustavo. Single name like Prince.
Also did the music for the Last of Us video game and TV series, and also about people trying to survive after an event that devastated humanity. His distinctive guitar and musical motif from The Last of Us is similar to the one in Finch. Cinematography, Joe Williams. Edited by Tim Porter. Music by Gustavo Santaolalla. Release date 2021. Running time 115 minutes. I couldn't find budget or box office for this. Apparently, there was
no box office.
There was no box office, and the international releases for this film were just straight up canceled. But I couldn't find a budget for this film at all. So
I mean, 95% of it was Tom Hanks' salary. We can tell you that.
Probably, but yeah, this is the first film that we've reviewed that doesn't have budget or box office info to share.
So, are you saying that somehow this movie did worse at the box office than Silent Running's $332?
I still don't know how
technically it did.
Technically, yes, it reached
worse at the
But I guess it doesn't. No, I don't think it counts if you didn't give it a chance.
It reached the Price is Right's price of zero.
Yeah, like I think. Sorry, I don't know what you got.
No, go ahead.
Rewatchability.
Go ahead. Finish your thought.
I could probably rewatch this again. I cried.
I don't know.
The last 25
to me,
minutes.
it's a bit
I think
thin.
it would be
It's just a
an
bit shallow and
okay
thin.
post-apocalyptic movie to show my 9-year-old son without it
scaring the shit out of him.
Without, kind of like introducing those concepts without it being so messed up that he has nightmares for a year about it. Because it shows like one charred, kind of like decayed dead body thing.
Yeah,
but, like,
there's two decayed dead bodies in the very first scene.
But otherwise, it doesn't really it doesn't show anything too gross, and it doesn't, like the horrors are kind of described or implied, like not explicit.
All the best things in this movie are just described or implied. Really.
Like Daniel's like, show me all the death.
Well, it's just the tension, like all the tension.
Well, I felt like here was the thought I was going to say.
About.
Maybe we could tie it into the rewatchability a bit, because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe you did this when you looked at your research. I didn't double check, but I believe Miguel Sapochnik directed a lot of Game of Thrones episodes. And it felt like, in some ways, this could have been a good first episode
for
a show.
The Long Night. Ooh, yeah, that makes sense. I did want to look up this guy's filmography and see if he... Oh, he directed episodes of Fringe, too.
So yeah,
and Repo Man?
And Repo Man? So anyway, it just felt like, if you said this is a show, and then the big subversion is that Tom Hanks dies in the first episode, and then the movie, then the show's actually about the robot and Skeet Ulrich.
He directed episodes of Altered Carbon too. This guy's got a good filmography, at least.
Yeah, so he's done a lot of like TV. So like I don't know if maybe that was because I recognized his name, and I was like, I think it's from TV, and I think it's from Game of Thrones, is what I thought. And so, it felt like a little bit like it had that, like that, when you get the TV show, like we can build this like over 2 or 3 episodes sometimes and then pay it off way later. Like I felt like, like if this was a show and then it kind of became about like the robot and this dog, like figuring stuff out, it was just like a limited series. Like probably don't want to overdo it if it was like 6 or 8 episodes. Like I think that could have been a lot better because then you could have hit some of those other points in an episode and kind of focused on those other things that they maybe couldn't really kind of cram in, or had more of those moments where it's like, if you had like 3 or 4 episodes of a show where it's like they don't interact with very many people, it would make that moment when it did happen like that much more significant, or just kind of drive home that sense of isolation or whatever.
This is where you declare your bias as a Skeet Ulrich stan.
I just, now that you've told me that there's a chance for Skeet to be in this, all I want is a movie with Skeet Ulrich and Scoot McNairy, and we'll call it the Skeet Scoot movie.
Skeet Scoot and Boogie.
Yeah. I just want that movie or that show, and I'll watch it anyway. So yeah, like I think, like I said, I think this is an okay movie for younger people who haven't had a lot of exposure to kind of post-apocalyptic stuff. I think for people who've been around and seen a lot of that, I don't think you need to watch it again. So I think like I would watch it to introduce it to a younger audience. That's the context in which I would rewatch this movie.
I would watch this as a double feature with Castaway.
Castaway is long. I don't think you want a double feature Castaway. At least that's how I recall.
We're talking about 5 to 6 hours of just pure Tom Hanks goodie.
Yeah, that's just like watching Bicentennial Man.
You beat me to it. Does it hold up? I mean,
like, yeah, sure. Like, you know what? Like the mocap stuff, like some of it is done so well. Like, I legitimately had questions at some points. Like, is this animated or is this like a really impressive rig that they're using? Like in some of the close-ups, like did they do a combination? Like, I didn't look into it, but like, yeah, like that
looks good.
The robot looks amazing. Like it is so good, and there's nothing about like it's still relatively new movie, so there's nothing in this movie that like you could say aged poorly, and praise the lords that be that Tom Hanks doesn't turn out to be some gross Hollywood guy. And
well, there's rumors,
and you can still enjoy this movie, in the future.
I think this movie absolutely holds up, especially as I've said multiple times, the last 25 minutes. If you resonate with that in any way, please leave comments and let me know I'm not the only one here amongst this mad group of lunatics that can't enjoy good acting from Robin Williams or Tom Hanks.
Here's the thing, though, about these 3 movies, and here's my problem with this question about this movie, is this movie is kind of, for me, instantly forgettable. I'm never going to forget about this movie again. By the time I finished this movie, I only had 5 minutes before this podcast, and I was already remembering more things about Silent Running. Like, Silent Running is more memorable.
Yeah, but that has, like, a childhood association for you, though, right? So I don't think you can...
Well, but I didn't really remember.
Here, like, for me, like, I hadn't watched any of these movies before. And I watched all 3 of them in, like, the last 2 weeks. And... yeah, actually, Silent Running is the one that comes to mind the most because it's just
it's the most memorable of these movies. The other 2, my problem is they're instantly forgettable.
It was the most outlandish acid trip of all of
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
It's so bad it's
Bicentennial
good.
Man was,
Do any of these
Bicentennial
movies
Man was-
get better by swapping the leads in them? Does Bruce Dern...
Silent Running doesn't. Bruce Dern makes
Bruce-
that movie.
Bruce
Bruce
Dern
Dern
as
is
Bicentennial Man would be wild.
It'd be
Just
better.
replace Robin Williams and Bruce Dern. Robin Williams is a mad botanist that blows everyone up, and Bruce
No,
Dern-
Robin Williams is now in a post-apocalyptic world with a robot and a dog.
And then Tom Hanks is the botanist that blows everything
Yeah.
up. With the, okay,
Yeah,
that's-
exactly. He would play the shit out of that role.
He would
I mean,
probably actually
yeah.
Tom Hanks would have done that role.
Make
much
that movie
more
better.
justice.
Yeah, because
he would do that role.
he'd be against like inanimate objects, but mostly like
He would be able to act convincingly alone for the last 3/4 of that film.
Yeah. See, I mean, does it hold up? Like again, yeah.
So,
like, I think, like I said, overall, I think
yes.
Yeah,
It's
like
just
for
forgettable.
me, I watched it and I was just kind of like, okay, yeah. Like I said, like I think I'll stick to that 6.5. Like,
Yeah.
if there's a point where I feel like I want to put on a movie and I don't want to put on The Road for my son, I might go to this movie instead.
Okay, that's
Robot movie rankings. Here's where we rank these movies.
comparing this film to The Road is wild. That is a wild comparison. That is such a wild dichotomy. What the fuck?
That's what I want. My post-apocalyptic movies right there.
If there isn't a Benoit murder-suicide in my post-apocalyptic movie, what are we even doing here?
Well, you know, when Jeff is going to go open up that thing, I thought it was going to be like when they go into that cellar in The Road and have that level of intensity, but it wasn't like.
I've never seen The Road, so no spoilers.
Oh,
All
man,
right.
it's dark.
Yeah, I hear it. That's why I know what it's about. That's why I don't watch it. But So, robot movie rankings. I'm kind of a little bit conflicted because I just talked myself into thinking Silent Running might be a better movie.
Are we ranking just these three, or are we just looking at generic robot movies?
Just these 3 films.
Oh, your mic cut out again there, buddy.
Oh, just these 3 films. Oh, his mic cut out. It's okay. He doesn't need to talk.
Yeah,
it's
we
all
don't need to-
good.
it's-
Yeah, I do because Bicentennial Man's at the bottom for sure for me.
I think, like, legitimately, if I actually think about this objectively, it would have to go Finch, Bicentennial Man, and Silent Running. Silent Running is, like, amusing because it is just kind of, like, odd and weird and, like, a little different.
I enjoyed it more than Bicentennial Man.
Like, it's weird. Like, I think, again, I enjoyed it more, but it's not a better movie.
No, but I don't know. Are we ranking enjoyment, I
don't know, man.
It's generally the part of how we rank the films.
Yeah.
Listen, for me, it was Finch, #1, top of the
Yeah.
charts. Then it was Bicentennial Man because I enjoyed it. I had the nostalgia glasses on, and then you
Sure.
guys quickly shattered that with everything we've gone through in the review, and now it's murky at best. But I fell asleep watching Silent Running. I fell asleep during the movie. That's how fucking bored I was watching that film. So it was bottom of the list for me. That's how I was going into this, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to hold strong. But I'm going to say this, Bicentennial Man just barely makes it over Silent Running on the caveat that I fell asleep in one film. And I didn't fall asleep in the other one, so...
Big asterisk there.
Yeah, I'll go Finch, Silent Running, Bicentennial Man.
Yeah.
None of them are great. This is one of the worst episodes we've had as far as quality.
Worst episodes. Thanks, guys. All right, I'm done.
No. Having an ally and taking down Murphy was a great change. Murphy usually brings the allies, and I'm the black sheep. But,
I mean, you guys, it has to, if
First
we
time
all,
I was on the whooping chair. But
yeah, but friggin'
if we all
time.
just thought that Robin Williams was, it was totally normal to do what he did in that movie, then we would have been done 45 minutes ago.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much. God, I don't. Do I have a final take? My final take tonight is go watch some better robot movies. Maybe some of the ones Andre or Wall-E, or some of the ones Andre suggested. Yeah.
Speaking of Andre, did I already do this? Did I set that? No, I didn't. Give me a second. Speaking of Andre, we're gonna have another episode coming up here Real soon, it's getting spooky, it's getting creepy, it's getting all things ooky as we have the wonderful Halloween episode, yearly annual Halloween episode.
We're having 2 Halloween episodes this year, aren't we?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, are we having 2 Halloween episodes? This is news to me.
Maybe I'm thinking of Trivial Debates.
You're thinking of Trivial Debates.
All right.
Yeah, no, we only have 1 Halloween episode on Hold Up, and
right.
next episode's going to be Zombies. The films will be...
Fido.
Fido's one of them. And
I Walked with a Zombie. Is that what it was called?
Sir, I don't have...
Have you seen it?
That one. No, but like the implications of what that film is gonna be, you're gonna raise an ire about that, I believe.
Huh? I just heard it was one of the early zombie movies. It wasn't so bad.
I feel like it's got like hard connections to more like the zombie Afrocentric style of zombies, where it's like what's it like not quite zombies, but like
voodoo and shit.
Voodoo, yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Voodoo.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah. I'm fine with that. Give
And
me a
then
voodoo movie.
I picked Overlord, which is a war zombie film, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's gonna be an eclectic bunch of zombie films with the old school Andre Mayette on our next episode of Hold Up.
Let's get out of here. It's late.
Thank you for plugging in, taking part, and programming yourself into another episode of Hold Up. We appreciate your time, Kyle Hill, taking the
Takes
time.
more notes than anyone.
You did. It's true. You came in with the notes. You got it all.
Gotta respect the. If you invite me onto your thing, you gotta respect the offer and take it seriously.
Dude, I appreciate that respect and seriousness. So with that, we appreciate you. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think about these films. If you agree with any of our takes. If you are also shattered by the fact that Bicentennial Man is a groomer's wet dream, as I have been, let us know. Leave some comments.
Grandpa, why?
Section. Leave a like, and as always, enjoy those movies.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on Trivial Debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.